Oh, hi, friends. Welcome back after a nice brunch. So much going on today. So much going on. But we cannot forget what I think to be, and I think most people agree, an absolutely incredible mini. History happened, most importantly, and we'll have Dina on to talk about that. But our first ever 3-time winner, which is not something we see every day or basically ever. But I would also say probably one of my favorite patron casts of all time. I feel like the hits kind of just kept on coming when we saw the cast reveal. There's a lot to dive into, so let's bring on everybody. Simon, City, Ghost, Andre, Duncan, Henry, Brandy, Bradley. Hello. Welcome to Podbuster. How are we doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How is everyone the night after? Obviously, some stays were shorter than others, but how do we feel after exciting night of Sequester?
I finally got the blood out of my hair.
Yeah, I had to scrub my face for a good 30 minutes last night, so that was fun.
I thought it was an explosive night and everyone was playing super freaking hard, and I'm super happy with their night overall.
Yeah, I feel like I was most appreciative of the lengths that most people went to fully embrace zombie prom. Some of the makeup was absolutely incredible. Duncan, you especially, your makeup, you went all out, I feel like.
Yeah, thank you so much for noticing that. Yeah, like I spent an hour doing my makeup. I ripped up some condoms to use a latex to cover my eye. It was fun. It sucked getting out first and not being able to play up all my gags. My foot here also is
Duncan had skin falling off.
I had my skin. I was eating my own skin because I got hungry during the breaks. Oh man. But it's all good. The right person won, and I had a fun time.
I feel like the Halloween season is still young. Like it's not over. That foot can still come in handy. You can use that foot for
sure.
Something else. That foot, don't write that foot off. Like make sure you make use of that foot.
We'll have like 6 Halloweens.
Right?
In October.
Yeah.
Why not?
It puts you a full step ahead of everyone else doing costumes.
I got a leg up on the competition. Hey.
We love puns. What did everybody think signing up for Zombie Prom? Were you all planning to apply for Saturday regardless, or did Zombie Prom really speak to you? How did we get into last night for all of you?
Well, as soon as I saw it was Zombie Prom. Well, first off, having to work, my birthday was on Friday, October 2nd, and so I couldn't play on a Friday. Thank you. So I was like, I'm gonna play on the 3rd. A Saturday, I could do that. And then it was Zombie, and I was like, this is perfect. And, Halloween's my favorite holiday, and I was like, I'm in for sure.
I had applied for my first 2 this week, so I just kind of figured I'd get my odds a little higher if I applied to 2. But unfortunately, I feel like I didn't come correct this time around. I definitely will next time. I just had the suit. I didn't really have any access to other materials, given where we're at and COVID and stuff like that. But next time I'm going to the 9s with the theme if there is one.
I was planning to apply for this Saturday, regardless of what the theme was. And then when she announced what the theme was, I was like, well, fuck, what do I do? And it was literally October 1st when she announced it. And I went to Target and they had a whole zombie section. And I was like, here we go. Right there. It was like a calling. So I was just like, all right, there we go.
I had originally applied for Friday and they asked me to switch. And at first I got really excited because I've been a zombie for Halloween for 8 years running. I've got a whole setup, revealed spine piece, neck gouge, you name it. But it's all still packed in the garage. So
I actually applied for the murder mystery one last week. So I thought it would be good to murder people after they've voted me out, But didn't get in, so I thought, well, let's try this time.
I was going to ask that. How does a ghost find Sequester? Like, how did you, obviously you're used to haunting neighborhoods, haunting houses. I don't know specifically where you reside. But how does a ghost come upon the internet, first off, and then this little game of Sequester?
Well, I used to be alive until I was robbed of the jury 9 times, unfortunately. So now my spirit still hangs around until I can get to the jury.
So it killed you, essentially. Too many pre-juries killed
Pretty
you.
much. Yeah.
It's terrible. See, Sequester does have long-lasting effects on people. Henry, I want to talk to you a little bit too, because we hadn't seen you in a while since Winners at War. This was your big return. What made you choose last night to come back?
So I really wanted to come back and just get the opportunity to play like hard and aggressive no matter the drawbacks. And it bit my ass real hard, but I felt like on Sequester I've played such a floater game that like I don't want to hold anything back anymore. So I like purposefully went hard just for the sake of going hard and having fun. And I did want to go much farther, but it didn't happen. And everybody else in Winners at War 2 has played since, so I felt the need to, do you know what, I should get back in there. Just, why not?
Absolutely, you got to come back at some point. What did everyone think when they saw the cast? I know us on PodQuester were consistently surprised every time a new video came on, but did anything stick out to you? Anybody you were happy to see? Anybody you were not as happy to see?
As soon as I saw Maggie open it, I was like, okay, well, that is someone who I can't say ever, because as soon as I say her name, I'm out. And fortunately enough, I was in a room with her to start out with. Dina came on. I was super stoked. I saw her and I was like, Dina is going to be someone I can trust. And then seeing like these new people too play, and I was like, this is rad. Like, you know, people coming in, and it was the strategy going into it was really interesting, because I was like, how do I balance old relationships and new people, you know? And I don't know, the creativity we saw last night too with all these videos.
I made this known right before I got eliminated, but I'm a big Nick City fan, so I was very happy to see him in the beginning, and I told him afterwards. But right before I got out, I was like, I'm not pandering for a vote. I really just am a fan. So it was cool to see him and see you now.
Yes, thanks, Bradley. I did like you too, and then you did say that, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm literally voting him out." But yeah, I did like Bradley. Regarding the cast, I was actually really happy because me and Mark did apply together, but we did not know we both got in. And like me and him are like very, very close friends. So like I was ecstatic about that. And then I was also really good friends with Blake, and I had no idea he applied or anything. So I was shook when I saw them too. But yeah, and then like I love Maggie and like all like the newbies too. I feel like everyone had like such good intros. Like it was such a good cast. It really was.
I was happy to see a lot of international players in this cast.
It was a very, very well-rounded cast, and like I said, there were a lot of people who I was very excited to see play and get another chance. To kind of get into the actual round, so we started out with round 1, so we went into it right with a highest even number votes. And I feel like there were so many names mentioned, like right off the bat. Like usually there's 1, 2, maybe 3 names, but I feel like there were 6 or 7 names thrown out. So much so, Duncan, I didn't even hear your name, which I feel like there was no way you got the most votes. I feel like maybe second or third, but I assumed that the first 2 people probably just went odd. Do you know what happened? And let's everybody talk about how we got to the first elimination with Duncan going out.
Yeah, I have no clue what happened. I kind of, like, in the game, I'd never heard my name. I didn't think I was at all someone who should be scared about going. Because of my makeup, I feel like, you know, I don't feel people are like, let's get rid of the guy who did all this stuff with his face, you know? But, like, going into it, like, from what I hear is, like, I guess I was outed as Jonathan, and I guess that got around to some people, and they wanted to get rid of me for some reason. I don't know why that'd be a reason to get rid of me. But yeah, and I think the mistake was that like I had this contingency plan. Initially, the vote that I had decided on with Maggie, Fairy, and Adam was to do Ghost. And then we would say Nick to cause confusion because there's 2 Nicks playing. And then somehow it got around that I was pushing for a Nick to go, and I was not. I would just say I heard the name Nick. I never pushed a Nick. I want to make that clear. Sorry, Ghost.
I could actually explain like a little bit of what happened that round because I did vote for you. So I was in a room with Dina, and Dina said that you were pushing Nick, and I was like, well, which Nick? Because it could be me or the other Nick. And it was like, so it was, I wrote down me, Ferry, Dina, Nikki, Brian, and Nick all were supposed to vote for you. And Blake was also in the room, but me and Blake were going to throw 2 votes on Jenny before Dina came in. And Dina was like holding me hostage. I was trying to leave, and Dina was like, no, because someone's going to get in your ear and you're going to vote another way and blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, I'll just sit here so these people could trust me and they know that I will vote this way. And I was just like, I'll just fucking vote Duncan then. Fuck it. And then you left. And I guess that's what happened. So.
The only person I heard was that I was with Duncan for the majority of that round, which is why I was so confused when he left. And I only heard Nick with the C, like just so that's the only reason I went with him. I kind of just thought maybe everybody was going that way, but I knew at least a few people went my way because I got the secret LOS. So I knew that at least some people had putting me down. So that's just why when we went into the next one, I was just like, all right, whatever happens, I gotta lay it down.
Sorry, Bradley. Room 5 at the start, I was trying to push for us to vote for each other so one of us would get an LOS, but they were all scared. And so Cassie threw out your name, and I was like, okay, because not gonna lie, I kind of liked her intro video, and so I wasn't gonna be mad if you got an LOS, but I wasn't gonna be mad if you went home either. So I went with that. But I had a plan. If you tell someone that you hear their name being thrown out, then they're gonna spread that they heard their own name in Jeopardy and basically spread their own name throughout the game. So I saw Mark at one point, and I was like, okay, Mark. And I told Mark, I've heard your name in my last room. And he went and spread that to literally everybody and got his name in the circle of names. So that's what I did that round.
When he said that, he came into our room and I was like, nobody has said your name, Mark. Like, literally no one has ever said your name. And he was like, okay.
But there.
Yeah, it was tough, honestly. I will say in the game like this, like how to decide who to put up first in this round. Like, I think that's the hardest thing in any game is like who's gonna be first boot. And I hate that it was me. And like it's hard to come up with a game plan like to be the most fair, you know. I initially, honestly, I pushed Nikki as the name in my group, and as soon as I said Nikki, I could tell Maggie was not having it. So I think initially, like that was my biggest downfall. And for me, I went off of videos. Like I really was like Nikki. I was underwhelmed with how her video was, and for being someone who was returning, I was like, that's someone to target. I don't know how to do it any other way. You know, I try to be the most fair. I didn't want a new person to go. So I guess someone who wasn't new or old went, I guess. Like that's how it played out.
Yeah, I am curious if, you know, I wouldn't understand why people would think you were trying to mislead them, but I am curious if you came in as yourself, not under a different name, what would have happened. I can't imagine you would have went for it. It's so hard to tell.
I feel like if I would have been myself, because there was a time when Dina came into my room and like talked, and Dina did the thing where she like kind of looks and just leaves without saying anything. And when she does that, I know she's scheming. Like that's how Dina plays. Like if you're with Dina, like she will tell you you're with her, and she will sit in a room with you and make sure the game plan is happening. When she was in the room with me and she left, like I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't have Dina right now. Yeah. But I feel if I was myself, I could have said, hey, Dina, it's Jonathan. Let's work together. So I do feel like she kind of was the reason I went home.
I didn't know that wasn't your name.
Yeah, you see?
And so there we go. That's good. I learned the next day.
The pros and cons of going by an alias in Sequester. Well, it was good to see you, even though I didn't realize it was you until it was all over. But once I did, I felt even worse. I thought we just had some new emo representation on Sequester, which I'm always here for, obviously. how did it feel playing again? And will we? Because it's been a bit of a break since you played last time. Are you planning on playing again soon?
I'd love to play again as myself. I think playing as someone else was there's my Twitter name.
That changed. That was not your former Twitter
I
name.
was Scrappy Otter. Scrappy Otter, yeah. I was just changing things up for whatever reason. Big Brother season. I think I'd play again as myself. I think this time around I only did a new name because it was prom. I was playing someone who was at prom, so I was trying to be 18. I was thinking about myself when I was 18 and how like emo I was. And I love that you like love Bright Eyes too, because that was literally like what I had a plan to like talk about, like, you know, knowing Dina before it was cool to know Dina and all these emo-isms. But it didn't pan out that way. Yeah, but thank you, and I do hope to play again as Jonathan. Duncan will be
season 2 now being recruited by Sam Scopus. You should apply.
That it is.
I'll look into that.
The moment.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and I honestly it was a great night.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right. So that brought us to round 2, which was room roulette. And there was an ineffective LOS played in this round, and it resulted in Henry's untimely demise. So this appeared to be kind of Henry versus Dina, Dina versus Henry. But how did we get here and get to this result?
So I believe I have a clear idea of what happened. So of course I was playing messy as hell, like way too messy. I had made 2 final 3s aside from my room with Brandy and Yarel, which was my OTP, and then one with Andre and Adam. But we were all in room 5 for room roulette, freaking out. And then, of course, I'm thinking of the rule of whoever leaves the room first is going to be the target. And then Adam leaves first with his LOS, and I'm thinking, crap, we can't throw votes on Adam. He's literally just going to use his LOS and it's going to flush. And then Dina left next. And so I was like, okay, we'll push it on Dina. And I'm literally saying Dina's name in front of Fairy and not even thinking about it, even though they're best friends. And so I dug myself a hole and then went to Dina and said that Fairy threw out her name. So that's what got all that pushed to me. And I wasn't even saying Dina's name, really. I voted for Andre that round, and I felt terrible about it. So yeah. Party.
I don't remember exactly who was in our room, but was Nick? Nick City? Were we in the same room? Were we in room 2?
I was in 3, I think.
Oh, okay. Because basically the plan. I think this is where the traction of me and Adam's so-called rivalry started. Is because everyone was saying Adam had an LOS, so I was like, okay, we're safe regardless. So if we put votes on Adam and flush that, somebody else will go. And so that was just the idea about putting it on Adam, just knowing that he wouldn't go home, taking that out, and then Henry was the casualty. So I mean, really, huge fan of both you guys. I really did not want to have to do that to either of you, but it just seemed like the smart thing just to stay in the room and lock that in.
Oh yeah, no, Bradley, you're right. I was in the room with you. It is in my notes. Yeah, because that was exactly what we were saying. Because we were like, it's not one of us. We're not nominated. Shit. Like, and then Henry hopped in, and someone was like, "Oh, we're all gonna throw the votes on Adam, so one of them can just go because none of us are nominated." And Henry was like, I am.
Oh, really? Sorry, Henry.
Well, my situation was that in round 1, Henry came and told me that my name was going around, so I immediately freaked out, and people were saying that they had heard me, so I, was running to room, trying to, make the alliances to not get voted out. And when I didn't go round 1, people assumed that I had a lot of traction, so I was going to get one of those more than 2 vote LOSs. I did not. People thought I had an LOS from that, and I didn't. And it's kind of pure luck that you guys thought that I did, especially in Henry's room when I skedaddled first. Rookie mistake. First timer over here. And luckily, I was in mid-conversation with, I think, City and Cassie or someone, and saw the screen LOS, so I happened to get one, but it was not from more than 2 votes.
Because I got the secret one. Because I got so
right. because Audrey said the recipient has been contacted, so I was like, one person, and then Ahmad clarified that she said recipient or recipients, which I don't think she did.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
So I was like, okay, so it's not me, it's someone else got more than 2 votes. So it's funny that everyone, even Dina, kind of brought up that I might have an LOS and this whole thing, and I was like, I'm just like this new player, and everyone's pinning these ideas on me already, and my name's going around, and it was just a whole mess for the first couple rounds, dodging, my name.
Yeah, for sure.
Bradley and I became a really easy target because our names just kept popping up, and to just like random guys.
But we were pretty simpatico after that, me and you.
Yeah, and then there was one round when I know we're not there yet, but his name was going around, but I had already made good contact with him, even though people were saying that we were rivals. And I did end up at last minute having to throw my vote on him because when they were going to reveal the votes, I knew that even if I did that, he may not drag me because we had a good relationship, even though
smart.
That. So that was that.
This round was whack as hell. Someone told me that Dina's name was out there, and I was like, clearly she had friends because her little rats were in every single room telling her every single like information that was told. So like, I mean, if I had a bunch of friends, like maybe I would get far and win 3 times too. But I think like Blake told me like Dina's name was out there, so like I voted Dina. Like how else would we ever fucking like get somebody out like that? So like I didn't even know like Henry's name was out there so much, but I just thought it was whack as fuck. Like y'all had a chance to get out.
I also
we
voted
did get
for
another
Dina.
winner out. So
Yeah, me too. I was pushing for him.
It was like the only name I heard, and it was like the big move to be made. Also, hi everyone. But I like my notes are so like they make no sense. Like nothing that I have written here. It's just people's names crossed out. I have minuses next to some of your names because that meant I didn't want to work with you. But yeah, that round was a lot. I ended up with Henry, and I was big shook that he left.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing like in the early rounds, Dina's name was out there, and we were like, "Oh, this could be interesting." But after like the first, like basically like 3 rounds, it went away, and then she was in endgame, and it wasn't really mentioned again until we got late in the game. But this obviously it was kind of going to be because I feel like Henry, if you lasted, you probably would have kept trying to make that move against Dina. It was going to end up being one or the other until one of you went.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was headhunting her.
I was
because
in the
knew...
room with Dina when she heard that Henry was pushing.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was in the room with Dina when she heard that Henry was pushing her name. And she was one of the only big names I didn't have a solid connection with at that point. So Henry, I'm sorry I did vote for you, trying to get in good with Dina, which didn't work.
It's okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was with you till the end, but at the end of the day, this is Sequester, and the rounds are like 10 minutes. So none of us are gonna have like long-lasting personal relationships or anything. I felt like if Dina made like even the final 15, that she would control that stuff to the end. So I was like, we gotta go for Dina, but didn't work out.
I was gonna say, so no regrets, Henry. You wouldn't have done it any other way if you could rewind time and play again.
Louie, I have so many regrets, but it's completely fine. This is my 3rd time playing. I've played just about every way I could now. I'm just doing this for fun at this point, and I'm glad that y'all could thrive, and we all had a good time. Hopefully,
we're gonna see you again anytime soon.
Very, very soon.
Ooh, very, very soon. Even better. Well, thank you for coming on.
Bye. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
You too. All right. So moving into round 3, which was the drag round, and the new setting of the drag round, where you can pick. I actually do kind of like the way it's set up now, where you can pick 4 people and see who they voted for. I feel like it brings an added element to the game. In this round, shockingly, Allie went out. I feel like there were a lot of thrown votes here because I did not hear her name a single time. And I feel like
I didn't hear her name once.
No, I feel like Ali, and we've seen this previously, like people will throw votes on her in a drag round. She ended up going out trying to drag Josh, which didn't work because Josh had an LOS, and then dragging Simon. So how did we all vote? How did it end up being Ali, first off, and then we can talk about the drag a little bit.
I threw my vote.
I was pushing for Bradley, but I vote for Brandy.
I was pushing hard.
I think I voted for Adam twice.
I was pushing super hard for you, Bradley, because I also got an LOS from that first round where if you got 2 or more votes. Yeah. So from that point forward, I said, fuck all these drags. I don't care. I'm going to play fearlessly.
Right.
So I was like, let me just go recklessly push Bradley's name because if I get dragged, I have an LOS. So I'm not going to go anywhere.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I heard like inklings of my name being out first round, but I never heard anything concrete. That's why my paranoid ass was running around being like, have you heard my name? Because I was like, I had the LOS, so I wanted to know when I should play it. But I don't know. I didn't hear Ali's name at all, so that was wild.
Me neither.
Oh,
that was what was so weird for me.
Blake, actually, my starting room in round 1 decided to put 4 votes on you.
Chris, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wasn't before I even knew you.
But yeah, at least I don't know if this was necessarily Ali's intention when she identified 2 of the 4 votes being for me. But that was for me that was definitely a wake up call. That I was like, whether it works or not, I was like, I have to at least try and let Adam and Blake know that like I'm good with them regardless. Like, even if it was like a last ditch effort, I was just I had to just like say something because I was like, okay, like clearly like it was good that I used it. But also, it's clear that that's probably not going to go away. And I think me and Adam got on the same page. But I think now knowing Blake had the other LOS, it makes sense that he would be looking for me in other rounds too.
So 2 things. I just want to say to go off what Louie said. I really like the new drag where you can expose votes because it gives people less room to hide. If you throw a vote on somebody, you have to be very consciously aware of who you're throwing a vote on because you don't want to piss that person off. Like you can't just say, oh, like Maggie's the most safe or Dina or whoever, and then you like, that gets exposed. Number 2, Bradley, when they exposed that I voted for you, I was like, fuck it, I gotta go balls to the wall and target Bradley constantly because no one else had a reason to have an issue with me. So I know you said like we're good, but I'm like,
no, I see what you mean for sure. It was you like you said, it's when it's exposed like that, you're out in the open and you kind of got to stick to that. I totally get it.
I feel like that kind of like when I threw my vote on Jenny and then it got exposed, I literally wrote in my notes, find Jenny, because I was like, she's gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, why did you do that? And like, I literally found her and I was like, I'm sorry, you were just someone random. And like, she was like, I know, I get it. So like, but yeah, it gives you that like little extra bit of paranoia that like, if your vote gets exposed, even if it's thrown, that like one person's like, why the fuck did you vote for me type of thing. So
sadly, that doesn't always work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Simon, I was curious after it all, who did you actually vote for?
I mean, I voted Bradley. I think I voted him like twice. So I was like, I just wanted him out. And I'm assuming you played an LOS.
Oh yeah, I did for this round because.
Wow, how dare you? That made me go home. Rude.
Yeah.
Should have thought about me.
So I voted.
Yeah, no, I voted Bradley. I just thought it was an easy vote, and I thought I was just like completely safe. Like I felt like I had a really good foundation with everyone, so I was like, this rule won't drag me either. So
yeah. I mean, that's the positive and the net is like you get to know exactly who people voted for, but then you could also end up in a situation where you don't know who to drag because you don't know who voted for you. Because Ali guessed 4 people, got one of them, had an LOS used, and then was basically just guessing in the dark as to who else voted for her, which ended up being Simon. I'm still not sure how many votes she got. It couldn't have been many. Ferry said in the chat that he voted Ali, so that was one of the votes. And we know Josh was another one of the votes, but I mean, it could have been as few as 3, maybe 4 that ended up sending her home. Obviously, Simon did not go. You were very entertaining for the short time that you were in. I feel like, we need more people who will stir the pot, and I feel like you are willing to do it. What were your first impressions?
Wait, so... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I didn't even hear the question. What
I
was
think
it? All right. Well, he's special.
I'm lagging. Sorry. Let me.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, what were your first impressions of the game playing for the first time, and is this something that you think you would do again and kind of take part in the community to play again?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I had a fucking blast. I mean, like, I was very fucking pissed when I went. Like, I was furious. I like took like 4 shots. I ran a Taco Bell. I was like absolutely fucking furious. I went off on Ali. I think that drag was a totally idiotic move. Even if you did it randomly, you had so much potential of making an impact on a game, but instead you take a new person out who actually I've known her like back when. Like, I don't think she's a good player at all. I think she's very likable. I think she's sweet, but I totally think that was such a dumb move. And she even told me that like she couldn't take out any of the girls or people from her previous mini. And I thought there was like a thing against pre-gaming. So that whole thing is kind of ridiculous. And like the kind of the drama today and the like hashtag, like people just look way too fucking sensitive in here. And that's a little annoying, but I would love to play and come back again. I feel like I didn't get my full potential, but I enjoyed meeting the 19 other people in the cast, or 18.
I feel like there's a lot more room for growth, especially since it's always the hardest when you play for the first time. Like the second time, you more kind of have your feet underneath you and you know what to expect, where you can kind of become the character and the player that you want to play. So I do hope that you come back again soon and try it out again, because like I said, you were never voted out.
Simon.
So
thank you guys. I appreciate it. I really did enjoy this experience. I thought it was very
huge
cool.
fan, man.
Thank you for coming on.
Peace out, guys.
Bye. All right, so on to round 4. And this was the twist, which has become kind of a staple now, where the person who is out gets to guess someone who voted for them and then switch spots for them. This ended up being Josh, who was having a lot of tech troubles. He sounded like a robot the majority of the game, which definitely does not help. And he guessed Blake, and my heart stopped. But Blake did not vote for Josh. And Josh ended up going home. How did we end up on the Joshua vote? Was it at all by the fact that he sounded like a robot, or was it just because his name was already out there from the previous round? How did that end up?
I know. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
So I think this is actually my doing.
I know the room I was in said that because he played the LOS, they were just going to gun for him.
I was in a room with Dina.
That was me. I'm the one who pointed out, hey, he played it.
Yeah, I think you were in the room with me.
Go ahead, City.
I was just going to say, I was in a room with Dina, and Dina said that she kept saying that she was the reason why he got the LOS or something, and that, like, if he were to go, he would probably guess her or something like that. And I was just like, not me. I don't give a shit. I will do that. And everyone else in the room was just like, sure, that sounds good to me. Because Dina was just like, I'm willing to get dragged. Like, and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Ghost, I think we might have been in the same room for that. And Mark, maybe you were it too. But I think I think for us it was the combo of like he did play the LOS, and also we were having trouble like actually hearing what he was saying. So we were like, it might just be a vote of convenience at this point. I really did like Josh a lot, and I
had it written down that the final room that I was in that settled on Josh at the very end of the round when I joined was Nikki, Ghost, Adam, and Bradley. Because I joined and I was like, well, they're like, who have you heard? And I'm like, honestly, Bradley and Adam, I'm not gonna lie to straight to your face. Like I've heard both your names a lot. Like we all know that. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. So what are you guys doing? Tell me and I'll do it. And you guys said Josh, and I voted Josh. And also I think I think Josh in his last game when he made Final Four, he was having that robotic mic issue too. So he really needs to figure that out.
Might need some new headphones.
Yeah, it's not helping.
Although I did think he was gonna guess me, so I did throw my vote there as well. I did vote for Yarel. Just randomly.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any chance he would pick me, so I voted him.
Yeah, I just had a feeling he might.
Yeah, as a new player, or completely new player, my one sort of strategic moment here was sort of organizing my room with Josh, throwing the vote on Josh with Bradley and stuff like that. And then I actually ended up just throwing my vote on Ghost because I just had a really good relationship with Ghost for a couple minutes when he got into chat. And knew somehow it went that way. Ghost probably wouldn't pick me to expose because it was just a thrown vote. So I organized Josh, but didn't go for Josh. But that issue was on my mind too.
So after the Josh elimination, that brought us to round 5, which resulted in Andre leaving. We wanted to talk a little bit about Ghost, because Ghost, you had Dina specifically, but a few people protecting you, and obviously Ghost very much wanted to make it to jury, and you ended up going very close. But tell us a little bit more, like, what was your plan going into the game? Did you plan on utilizing kind of the get Ghost to jury hashtag for most of the game? Because it definitely seemed to work.
Well, I knew that people would probably figure out who I was, especially after seeing the intro videos and knowing quite a few of the people in the game. I was kind of like, well, they're going to figure it out after I say hello. So I kind of just went with, let's try and make deals with as many people as I can. I know I ended up making a final 2 with Maggie at one point. But yeah, the plan was to kind of just, especially with the international folks, try and stick with them and go as far as I could. And when they were all protecting me, I was just like, well, as long as they don't vote me, I don't have to worry. I'm just going to not vote them in a vote reveal round.
I feel like there were a lot of people in this game who were pretty well protected. Like you being one of them, there were a lot of people fighting for you. Andre, you were another that a lot of people were fighting for you. Mark, there were a lot of people like defending you. Names that were out there from the very start, but managed to go a ways just because, people had their back and were trying to protect them. I know, Andre, a lot of people were excited to watch you play last night. I was unfamiliar, but I heard good things from a lot of people. Tell me a little bit about your journey in Sequester and how you found Sequester and how you have the connections that you do.
I played in the last 2 weeks 3 games on Zoom, so they supported me and texted me to apply and become a patron, and then I applied for yesterday's game.
How did we get to? I mean, it seemed to be either Andre or Mark going this round, but how did we
get to? My name started to come around when I said to vote for Mark, and people were spreading, but City, I know he told Mark that I was saying his name, and I heard after that my name.
Yeah, I just was trying to get it off Mark, and so I went immediately. I hopped in a room with you, and you said we're doing Mark, and I was like, and then I got room limited out, and I just left. And then the next room I went into, I saw Mark, and I was like, Mark, Andre's coming for you, and we're not gonna let that happen. So because I really wanted to play with Mark, and so I was hopping the fuck around to make sure he stayed. And it wasn't even anything against you, Andre. It was just the other person, and I was like, I can't let my number one go home. So I was literally just doing whatever the fuck I had to do. So
this was the only round that I think me and Adam knew we were not going to be voted out because everyone had voted for us previously. And so when we heard the 2 names, we were basically, at least for me, I just think I had spent a little bit more time throughout the game with Mark over Andre, even though it was definitely similar. And I really did appreciate my time with you, Andre. And I really would love to see you play again or play with you again. So I am sorry I had to throw that vote on you though, but I really did enjoy our time.
Yeah, I felt the same as Bradley that round. I was like, our names have been going around so much. I think we're good. So
yeah,
I have pretty detailed notes for the first couple rounds. And then we get to this round, and the only thing I have is my name and Andre, because I was scrambling so fucking hard. I didn't have time to even think about what I was doing or write anything down. It was a pretty hectic round.
I could barely see my paper to write anything down, so I just gave up on that idea. But Andre, I did throw my vote on you because I was quite worried that it was going to be me that round. Because I did hear 1 or 2 people say that it was me, even though I had to protect. So I was like, well, if the only other name I've heard the most is yours, unfortunately, I'm going to have to throw it on you, even though I didn't want to.
So, Andre, what did you think overall? Obviously, it had been a little bit, and you playing your first mini. How did it feel actually going into it and playing the game?
I think like at the first 3 rounds, I was a little scared of talking when another person was speaking, so people thought I was a little quiet because of that. And I think that was something bad for me. But I like the experience.
Yeah, and like I said, from
We
here, I
love
feel
you,
like
Andre.
you only get more comfortable, right? Like that's the first one is always the hardest. So when you come back and play again, it's only going to be a lot easier. All right. Thank you for coming on, Andre. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so moving to round 6. So this was the tether round. For your vote to count, the tether had to vote the same, and this ended in Adam's elimination. I feel like Adam, your name just kind of dragged on and on and on and just kind of became the easy vote by this point, especially in a tether round where people were panicked that they would have their vote count, that you were just the easiest name to throw on. I honestly don't know how you would have even avoided not being eliminated that round, because everybody just kind of, that's where their mind went. Was there any other names out there that anybody heard, or was it everybody just kind of geared in on Adam?
If I'm not mistaken, I thought Mark was still around as well.
Yeah, my whole thing was I was thinking so first of all, I was hanging on by a thread the whole game because my name got thrown out so early. But Mark came up in a room, I think, with Nick, Jenny, and 2 other people. I forget at the moment. My notes got really bad. Oh, Ghost maybe. So Mark came up, and there were 2 tether couples in that room, and they were both set on Mark. And I love Mark. It's nothing personal, just the game. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stay here for a bit to make sure that they lock in on that, because I could easily leave, and the 2 tethers could say me. So I stuck around, but my tether was Yarel, who I had a good relationship with from the get-go. We were kikiing the whole time, and then when I felt secure that those 2 couples were going to vote for Mark, I jumped around and found Yarel, and I said, okay, 2 other people are doing Mark. We just have to do it to make it count. And somehow, some way, there were
I really tried to save you.
there were more
Like,
couples.
I really tried to save you, but the people that I was working with, Maggie, they were voting for you because they don't want Mark out, and there was nothing that I can do. Like,
Yeah, so like going back to this theme of my notes get really bad here from last round and then this round, I literally have nothing except I don't fucking know in all capitals with like 6 exclamation points. I could not find Maggie for the life of me. I found her once the entire round, and we settled on Adam because that's what the room at the time was doing. And then after that, I couldn't find her again, so I had no choice but to vote for Adam.
This was a really bad round for me across the board because I was tethered to Nick with the C. And I made the mistake. I was trying to build trust with him by like letting him know I voted for him the first round, which was a real mistake. And then also because I didn't want to vote for Adam or Mark, I threw my vote on Brandy, so neither of our votes counted. So like I definitely kind of burned. I don't think Nick really had. I can't blame him for it. No, I didn't want to vote for either Adam or Mark, so I just threw my vote. And I didn't see any reason afterwards for Nick to trust me at all after that. So I totally understood why I probably was top of mind afterwards.
I was actually surprised by this vote. I voted the only name I heard. I heard Mark's name, but I was never gonna do that. But it was only Bradley, so I voted Bradley. City and I locked on Bradley. Mm-hmm. That was the only name I heard, and I was so surprised to hear Adam go here. I feel like there were a lot of tethers that did not vote together. That's why it ended up with the Adam boot.
One time I found Maggie and we settled on Adam, we started hopping around again, and then I think I heard another name. I couldn't remember who it was. It must have been Bradley's name. I'm like, okay, well I got to go find Maggie to flip the vote.
Yeah, because I told you that.
And I was like, okay, I need to go find Maggie then, so both our votes count. And I just literally could not find Maggie.
That's the hard thing is like I was just desperately looking for Nick. I kept going from room to room and just not finding him, being like, okay, never mind.
This round was like one of the only ones that I was, besides History Can't Repeat, that I felt okay because obviously people weren't going to say my name in front of me, and I was hearing so much Mark that I thought that was going to be the easy vote. I maybe heard Bradley, but it was mostly Mark from the rooms that I happened to be in, and I just felt safe. So when they announced it was me, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I
huge
really,
shock.
really wanted you in the game. Like, I really, really, really wanted you to stay.
Oh my god, I freaking love you. I loved you. I had so much fun with you, Yarel. And when
I love you too.
when Audrey messaged me my tether, I was like, easy. Like, that's my friend.
Same. I was really excited.
I was like, we already have that bond. We'll vote together. But
Yeah, Adam, I'm sorry I couldn't save you, but after the first 2 times, I just couldn't put your name down again. I couldn't put Mark's, but I couldn't put yours either. I just had to. And sorry for throwing my vote to you, Brandy. It was a tough spot for me.
Adam, this was your first game, right?
yeah, I've been watching a couple
Incredible.
times.
You played really, really well. Like,
Definitely.
You're
super,
amazing.
super impressive.
Yeah,
Thank
really.
you. I mean, I felt so lucky to be with all of you guys. Like, obviously, we don't know the cast, and well, I guess some people knew each other. My stupid naiveness, whatever the word is, and just having this specific group of people, I felt really comfortable with playing the game, and I was shocked that my name came up so early. I think my name is easy to remember, and it's just an easy target. But yeah, it was my first time. I had been watching a couple throughout the summer. I'm good friends with Marcelo Guzman, so he's played a couple times, and
we love Marcelo here.
We love Marcelo.
He's been my friend for 7 or 8 years, and he had been doing this, and he was like, I watched this game on YouTube, and it's like this Big Brother kind of thing, and I was like, okay, whatever, that sounds really weird. And then one time his first game, I was like, okay, I'll watch it, and I was like, this is amazing, I love this thing, and I watched 2 or 3 after that, and I was like, all right. And then on this Friday, I got home from running some errands, and I was like, maybe the signups are still open. Like, I'll throw together a video real quick. And on Friday, I just put it together and applied. And Saturday, got the email, and I was like, all right, let's do it.
Look at that. First try. I will say, like, both Friday and Saturday, like, a very interesting experience for a first-time player, because you've essentially been thrown into all-star games, which is something that you don't typically see. Like, some of like the biggest names of Sequester have come out in the past weekend, but we've also had like a pretty substantial number of complete newbies going into it as well. And it's been interesting to see that kind of, dichotomy of brand new players and like some of the best players of all time in the same place. And I always say, like, new players will benefit from playing with great players, and you will immediately become an even better player because you're put into that situation, which I think is a good place to be in. Even if it might be pre-jury to start, I think it's a head start for all your future games.
In like the 2 or 3 games I watched, I think I had seen Brandy and Ferry before. So as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh my God, I'm playing with veterans. Like, I was hoping for a lot of new people that were all in the same boat. So it's such a quick learning experience and a learning curve when you're thrown into this. And, you kind of have to figure out that I ended up saying something really stupid to Henry in a room with either Andre or Ghost. I was like, oh, Henry, like, you've won before, right? But that my intention of that was that I'm brand new, you're a pro, you've won, let's stick together and help each other. But, I guess on Twitter, I got some backlash. And first of all, the Twitter response for me was amazing. But there was one tweet that was like, oh, Adam said Henry was a winner, and Henry like made a face or something. And I was like, I guess there's so many unspoken rules that newbies don't know about until they play. So,
but you don't
I
have
just
to
want to
spread
say.
yourself-
Go ahead, Barry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that. I mean, like, as a first time player, you don't have to spread yourself too thin. I think that you played amazing. You built like strong social bonds in your first game. I mean, I was definitely on your side after Duncan went round 1. I was still trying to protect our starting room. But yeah, I feel like you would end up doing better in your future games. So I do hope that we get to see you again play soon.
I just wanted to add on to that the new players did phenomenal this game. You were thrown into the deep end, and you had literal sharks just swimming around you. And
Amazing.
I actually
Yeah.
have it written down after you went. Why the fudge are we going after new players? So I don't know if you watched after you got out, but immediately after, I was like, no, we have to stop this because you did phenomenal. And I really hope you don't get overwhelmed by the feedback and the people saying, oh, you shouldn't have done whatever. Just let it roll off your shoulders and please come back and play again.
Oh no! When I jumped in the YouTube chat and everyone was like, "We love you! Oh my god, you were amazing!" I was like, "Okay, going home wasn't that bad." I
think you, Adam, you have a very good strategic mind, but it's also coupled with like a warmth about your personality that is great. Like makes me, at least in the game, gravitated towards you.
Yeah.
I think when you can watch this back and see maybe where you went wrong and fix like little mistakes, like the Henry thing you said, like I think you legitimately have really good potential in these games. I think you're going to be going deep a lot if you ever play again, which I hope you do.
Thanks, guys.
I was gonna say, Adam, do you plan on playing again?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We need you to play again. Like,
Yeah.
we
Such a
need
great
you.
community. I love you guys. I was more pissed to leave to not win, just to hang out with you guys. I was like, oh, now I'm gonna be off the camera and I can't talk to them.
I'm sure there will
Group
be
chat.
I was gonna say there will be 8,000 Zoom calls for you to join.
Right.
That's just the
thank you for
start.
coming on, Adam. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Oh yeah, Adam.
All right. So going into round 7, this was if you vote for the person who is eliminated, you are nominated the next round, which ended in a tie between Bradley and Jenny, and then ended with Bradley's elimination. So let's discuss a little bit what happened here and how we ended up with Bradley going.
So if I could just start, I may be lagging a little bit, so if I'm behind, sorry. This was again a matter of I publicly voted for Bradley that one time, so I was like, I'm going to continue to push for Bradley. I'm also of the belief that in a round like this, a tie is actually better for like you as an individual because there's going to be more people that end up nominated because when you only have 2 options, there's no thrown votes. So my mentality in the first vote was like, I'm just going to push Bradley. His name's been out there. We can get traction on it. Everyone always tries to say let's all vote this person so we're all nominated. And that I don't think has ever happened one single time ever. When the vote tied, I really was doing like 4D chess because I thought that people were going to hear Bradley's name so much that they'd be like, cool, I can just throw my vote on Jenny. And then I thought so many votes would get thrown on Jenny that I should just vote Bradley. So I didn't end up nominated. It was like, sometimes my brain is too big and small at the same time for my own good. So that's where I was that round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard when Blake
So
was
I really
saying that,
like-
like, if we vote for Bradley, was going to be safe, and I was like, let's do it. It makes sense because Bradley's getting traction. People are gonna vote for Jenny because of that. So let's be safe. It didn't happen.
I know. For me, I knew that going into the next round, if I wasn't safe, I'd probably be out. So I first threw my vote to City because I knew again no one would vote him. And then when it came down to the revote, my computer crashed. And I was going to vote Bradley. And when the computer crashed, I jumped on my tablet and I quickly sent Audrey a message and voted for Jenny, knowing no one's voting for her.
Wi-Fi in haunted houses. Terrible. Terrible.
And then the start of the next round, I don't even know what the twist was in the next round. I didn't even hear half the round.
I think this was the round as well that I clocked Chris and Jenny's bond. And I was like, you know what? I'm giving Bradley a break. Like, I'm gonna work on Bradley's side this time. So let's try to go for Jenny this time. And I was like surprised with the tie as well. Knowing that Bradley's name would still come out that round, but I think like it kind of somewhat helped that Jenny's name was also thrown during that round, forcing that tie and some other like votes that did not count towards like Bradley and Jenny. But ultimately, when the tie happened, I was sure that Bradley was leaving there. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm sticking to my vote and like taking the safety for the next round.
I heard a lot of Bradley, obviously. This round, like the first vote, I threw my vote on Ferry for a future history can't repeat, which ended up working out. But on the re-vote, I voted Bradley because I thought enough people were going to throw their vote on Jenny to be safe that she would get the majority of the votes. Like I was just doing like I was trying to like play 4D chess, and it didn't work because nobody like really threw their vote on Jenny.
Yeah, I just straight up voted Bradley twice because I heard his name the most. And I was just like, well, my name hasn't come up yet once, so I'll risk it being nominated. Like, I don't give a shit. And so I kind of just, I went for it, and I guess it worked. Sorry, Bradley.
This was also another...
I really liked you though, Bradley. So I really did. You and Adam, I was like, they're like so good, and they were newbies. I was like very, very impressed with you. So
also how they like were the two names going out, and like in the early like first round or two, like they were going after each other, and then somehow like got on the same page with each other and were able to work together for like however many rounds they lasted, 7 or 8 rounds. Like that was super impressive.
Yeah, I think what it was at some we were like I had put down Adam's name twice, and then when we got to the round, like we couldn't. I think we were kind of just like, what's the point? You know, we're both new. Everyone it seemed our names been heard. We've heard each other's name each round, so we figure it might just be easier to join forces. I think I definitely was a cat with like 7 lives this time this first go around because I got the LOS in the first round, so I was like. I knew some people voted for me. Then when we got, I lucked out with my room being safe, and then I played it in the double, and then no one could vote for me in the history repeats itself round. So like I definitely had a lot of lucky breaks given how much my name was around. But I think once I think it was just was tough once Blake's vote got revealed. Obviously it makes sense that he was like there was only ample reason for him to come after me more, and then I kind of mishandled Nick with the C for sure. So I definitely think there were a few pitfalls. And when I got to a tie, I was like, okay, so maybe there's a chance. Like I'm not out yet. And then, but there wasn't enough time for me to get it back around because once Dina told me she wasn't voting, she couldn't vote for me. She couldn't vote Jenny out. That honesty, I was like, wow, I appreciate it. I was like, okay, like that's it. That's a wrap. Like she's being straight with me. No one's like beating around the bush. Like. That's fine. Like, I'll take it. I mean, I had such a blast. You guys are really awesome cast across the boards. Like I have no regrets.
Brandy, I know you had a game theory strategy you wanted. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Game theory with Brandy.
First of all, to back up because there's been enough now. I forgot what I was going to say. Blake, what did you say about the vote before the tie? You said something that triggered game theory in my head.
About the vote before the tie?
Yes.
Like this round or last round? Sorry. I don't know. All that I said was that I continuously pushed Bradley's name because I had my vote exposed for him earlier on. His name kept getting traction, and then when the vote tied, everyone's mentality was like, let's all vote Bradley because we don't want Jenny to go. So I was thinking if there's going to be if people think the votes are going Bradley, they think they'll be safe to vote Jenny, so they won't be up next round. And then there's going to be so many votes on Jenny that I should just vote Bradley. Like it was very convoluted, and obviously it ended up with me still. Did that hit it in your mind? Did you get there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes and no. So I had the same theory. It's kind of like the Princess Bride game, except there's really only one cup, unlike the movie. Spoilers for anyone. But it's that idea of if everyone votes this way, I want to vote the opposite way. But everyone's going to think that way, which is the whole idea of game theory. Is everyone knows what they're doing. They all know what's involved. So the way Blake and I thought clearly worked out this round. Next round, other people may do the same thing. So you actually need to flip it one more time around. But it kind of brings up a few different game theory designs, like the prisoner's dilemma, where do I count on my partner doing this? Or do I assume they're going to do the opposite, which is going to screw me over, in which case I might as well screw them over. I did not want to vote Jenny or Bradley out. But I'm sorry, Bradley, of the two of you, I had connected with Jenny more. So it was kind of, I think I'm rambling now. I lost my train of thought. But it is that idea of if I vote in the majority, I get punished. But if enough people switch to the minority with me, it becomes the majority, we get punished. So I guess the question is, at what round of that thought process is everyone else going to be? And you have to take that one step further. So
it's a very good point, because it is, I feel like in rounds like that, and a lot of rounds in Sequester, especially when we get to ties, it's impossible to think it out, because you'll just end up overthinking it, and it'll always go the opposite, because so many people are already overthinking it and doing the second option, that now the first option becomes the right option. But it's really hard to tell depending on the cast. Bradley, what were you lasted a long time considering how long your name was out there for a first time player. Like, you were thrown into the fire from the very jump. How was it playing the game, and do you expect to return?
I mean, I had a huge blast. Like, it was cool to see a few names that I had recognized, and it was just an awesome experience just to get out there and, like, even though I mean, to be perfectly honest, I guess recognizing Nick City and recognizing Josh, like, and Dina from the original prom, I knew I was playing with some returners. I don't think until after I got off I realized how many I was playing with. So, like, and just how, you know, vulnerable I was throughout the whole game. So at first I was like, oh, I mean, because frankly, I thought I was going to be out first. Like, getting past one boot, I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, and so I had an absolute blast. I played an LOS successfully, which is like, you know, I got chills. I mean, it was really an awesome experience to be able to do that, even in the second or third round. And all of you guys were so nice and such a good group to play with. So I really do hope to be back, and I hope I have another shot to play. And it was just a really great experience. So thank you guys.
Yeah, there are people who played games and games and games and never gotten to, you know, do a correct LOS. So to do that in your first like 2 rounds is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think even more impressive for me was in Bradley's first game, his adaptability was so good. Like I said, like, being against Adam for so long and then getting on the same page, like, both of you played very, very, very well. It was really impressive.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
And I feel like if you survive that round, and I'm seeing like the next twists moving forward, I felt like your name could have like gone down a
died
bit,
down a little bit.
Yeah, it would die down a bit, because I feel like you would like survive longer if you just really had escaped that round. But you played so well, Bradley.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Perry. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for coming on, Bradley.
Thanks for having us, guys. Take care.
See you around, Bradley.
All right, so that brought us to round 8. So going into round 8, Ferry, Brandy, Nikki, Maggie, Ghost were safe. And this resulted in another tie, a lot of ties last night, between Brian and Cassie. And Cassie was eliminated. So Cassie was out there, Brian was out there, obviously. There was more Mark being mentioned yet again. How did we get to Cassie's elimination here?
So I was in a room starting this round with Cassie and Brandy. And I unmuted and I said, guys, like, my name's already been around. I'm on the flopping block. I really think I'm going to get votes. So we need to figure something out quick. And either Brandy or Cassie was like, well, let's go after City. And I was like, no, let's not do that. And then I just left and went and I joined a room with who said my name? Brian and Yarel. And I heard Brian say, yeah, let's vote Mark. And I was like, Brian, no, we're not going to do that. So what do you want to do?
Oh my God. I was so ready for a fight in that moment. Like, oh, I felt so scared because you went there and you were, Brian, why are you saying my name? And I was like, oh. And I'm not gonna bounce. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna see.
Yeah. So in that moment, I know my name is going out there, and then Nick City's name was already out there, and obviously I don't want either of those to go home because it's me and my number one. So I started pushing Cassie just because I had no other choice. And then when the vote tied, this was a common theme where like the votes would tie, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to be tied. And then I didn't get the votes to tie. It didn't make any sense to me. It happened like 3 or 4 times.
I remember you entering and saying, Brian, stop. We're doing Cassie. Stop.
But that's where it all started for me.
Yeah. On our end, I was with Maggie, Nikki. So, well, personally at this point, like, it's hard to like choose from whoever's left in the game, because I feel like I've like talked to pretty much everyone in the game. But we were the ones who like started casting votes on Cassie during that round, and well, like when the tie happened, we just stuck with the votes, made sure that it won't go to a wheel. So whoever voted for Brian, we pretty much convinced to flip the vote on Cassie.
That was me. I voted Brian first round and flipped.
Me too.
I also did that because I didn't have an issue with Brian. I've watched him play a few times before though, and this is around the time when his name usually starts getting thrown out.
Mhm.
And I wasn't trying to play on that, but I just figured that it was going to start happening. I'm very pro woman in these games. I want to see women succeed, and I obviously didn't want to vote for Cass, but the second that I saw her name was in the tie, I knew that if she made it past that round, I didn't think anyone was going to vote her at 11. I didn't think she was going to get dragged, and I figured she would have a lot of longevity. So I'm like, I need to take the shot. I can just push Brian for this next vote, or well, whatever it ended up being. But yeah, I don't know. It was depressing.
I didn't even hear Cassie's name, and then when it tied, because like when she announced that it was a tie, I was like saying like out loud to myself between Brian and Mark, and then it was fucking Brian and Cassie, and I was like, what just fucking happened? And then I heard everyone was just like Cassie, 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 and I was like, all right, guess we're doing Cassie. So
since the moment that Audrey says Cassie and Brian, I was like, sorry, Cassie, you're leaving, because I was not going to vote Brian out. Like there was no way I was voting Brian out.
Yeah, I mean that vote was difficult as well. Cassie is adorable, and like she is a very, very like good social player as well. Like I feel like she connects with a lot of people. So for me particularly, like I put in my notes, this vote is making me sick to my stomach because it was that hard at that point. So, but like all love to Cassie. She really, really like played it well this time. It was just very unfortunate that she was in a tie with Brian.
I mean, I didn't even know what was going on that round. So the minute my sound finally worked, I just said, who are we voting? And someone said Cassie. And I was like, well, she has been saying my name, so I'm good with that. And that's kind of what I did. And I didn't know if it was odd, even, whatever. I was just like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to vote her. So,
I was absolutely screwed this round because I had a starting room alliance with Mark. I had really been connecting with Cassie the whole game. We were partners in that round. And then Brian and I are both really close to start. So I actually voted Brian initially. And I have a little sad face next to his name in my notes. Room with him. And I realized that, like, because of that connection with Stark, I felt that Brian, I was guaranteed he would stick with me. And I kind of wanted to come back saying, hey, I switched my vote, take me to the end. So I actually did switch my vote to Cassie eventually. But I was also very worried. There's been a trend in mid-game where a woman will get voted out or a person of color will get voted out. And then you see several go in a row. It's like that floodgate finally opens. So I was very concerned about it. But that's why I initially wanted to vote Brian. And I'm sorry, Cassie, if you're watching.
So moving on to round 9, and this was an interesting one because I feel like a lot happened in this round with the pairing. So essentially everybody had to be paired, and it just so happened that every room was evenly divided aside from one, which was Brandy, Blake, and Brian. And essentially,
Blake, you made a power move here.
By that point in the game, I had drank a lot of wine, so I was ready to, release my inhibitions, feel the rain on my skin, all that jazz. It was me, Brandy, and Brian, and with Brian's name coming up so much, my mentality was, we may be, like Louie said, the only odd room. I wasn't sure. I figured I just needed to be the first person to speak. I was like, Brandy, let's pair up. I feel good about you. I was thinking either Brian doesn't have a pair and he's gone, or Brian doesn't have a pair and he's nominated, and we just push that same name again. Tried to play the Boston Rob buddy system with Brandy for a second there. I was like, let's just hang out in this room. So, because I was afraid you were going to run off and find somebody else. And then you tried to bounce, but then more people came in, so you just kind of hung out. I mean, poor Brian. I mean, that's a shitty round to end up in an odd room.
It got
to
worse,
make it even
I
more
feel
shitty.
like.
I was intending to pair with Brian because, like I said, we had that out of game connection, and I wanted to turn around and be like, "Yo, I just switched my vote. Take me to the end with you." And I was about to say it after you spoke, Blake, but he bounced. And at that point, I was like, "You know what? I'm not going to be the last one standing. I've already got someone who said he'll pair with me, so I'm just gonna." But otherwise, Blake, you were completely right. I was going to bounce and find Brian. So you played a power move there that could have backfired, but instead it kept you until jury and it got Brian out. And I gotta applaud you. That was a great move.
So
I
Brian,
really wanted to. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Yarel.
I really wanted to pair with Brian because we were the two Puerto Ricans in the game, and I was like, he was my ride or die because we were from the same place. Like, I really want to take him to the end with me. But I'm with Nick in a room, and I know that in his first game, he almost went out in that round. And then the first thing he said when the round started, it was like, Yarel, do you want to pair with me? And I'm not going to say, no, I want to pair with Brian because I don't want to show my cards. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And it was Ghost, Jenny, me, and Nick. And then we're like, okay, let's pair the four of us. And then it was like, oh, we're not going to bounce. And I'm like, damn, what I'm going to do? Like, I go for Brian and I take Nick out in this round, or I stick with Nick. And then Brian tries to enter the room, and the four of us just stayed. Room limit.
Super awkward. That was so awkward.
That was so hard for me. I really wanted to bounce and find Brian and said, like, let's pair, whatever. But my heart said, nah, don't do this to Nick, because I know that was a hard round for him. So I'm so sorry, Brian. Like, he knows how much I love him, and he knows that we have a bond outside of the game, and we have a really good friendship. So, like, I cannot do that to Nick.
I do have, so Brian's journey in this round ended in a room with Mark, and essentially Brian pleading for his life to stay in the game and for Mark to switch his pair off Nick City. And Mark, I was confused because it seems like you agreed with him. Like, by the end, you were just like, okay. What was that? Yeah, you agreed to it and then didn't do it, correct?
No, there's no fucking chance.
Yeah.
I joined, like I said, I joined that room the round prior, and I literally heard him say word for word, let's vote Mark. If I joined and I heard him say, I've heard Mark, different story. He's pushing my name. I just, praise Bradley for being adaptable. I'm not. If I hear you say my name, you're fucking cut. So it gave me much joy to tell him that he was safe and watch him leave in my room. It was so pleasurable, and it was the highlight of the game for me.
Ruthless.
I feel so bad.
Oh my god.
I was so mad. And also, that round starts, and me and Nick City are in a room together, and they announce a twist, and we're like, "Oh, this is too fun."
We're literally looking at each other
Nick City's like my best friend, and so we're in a room for this twist. And we're like, "All right, lock it down." And I was like, "Nick, you got to bounce so people don't join," because like at this point, I think like Ferry already clocked me and Nick City being close.
Yeah,
like
Ferry was
Blake
like,
and like some people. So I'm like, Nick City, you need to bounce so people don't see us in the same room together and keep pushing that narrative of me and you. So that's when Brian joined and Dina joined too. And Dina was like, I really don't want either of you going for each other. Like, need you both safe. Like, Mark, you need to save Brian, but I'm going to leave and let you guys hash it out. And I'm like, okay. There was a split second where I was like, well, fuck, I don't want to make Dina mad. I mean, have her come for me. But I'm like, nah, I'm not playing with people that are throwing my name out. So Brian's got to go.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Nick City and Mark, like, even before round one started, I said Mark and Nick City needs to be split before jury. I mean, Mark would be good for my game, but both of them together, no.
I saw you in the fucking thing, and I was like, Mark tagged me and him in a tweet together like the other day. I was like, this is either really good or really bad. Because
when the videos were coming out and I saw Ferry, I literally screamed. I was like, let's fucking go. Like, I was so happy to have Ferry.
Go back as well for like the intro videos for a short while. It was very beneficial that we were all backstage because we can react to every person who comes out in that video.
Also,
I
I
really
love
to
that.
go
I
off
was
that,
screaming and dancing with some of the videos.
I just want to say I love being backstage until the game starts because the awkwardness of staring at people in your starting room for an hour, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
I love to sit backstage and have nobody look at me. Like it's incredible. The fact that I don't have to be like for an hour. Like, thank God.
It is very freeing. I think I would prefer that too. Though, I don't know. There's something to be said. I look at everything as a strategic opportunity. And even if you can't like talk or make gestures, if you stare deeply enough into their souls, maybe they get it. Who knows?
That's why I'm a big cheersing between rounds person because I feel like it builds morale and it builds the camaraderie. Let's just cheers between every round. Also, I become too drunk, but you know.
Cheers to everyone. So that moved us to round 10, which was the dance competition. Dance teacher Maggie got to make her return.
We did that.
And instruct another group of new dancers on how to move. I believe, Mark, you clocked that very early on being in
Yeah, I
your
said
room.
Maggie's not in our room. We need to do something crazy because we're gonna lose.
I thought we were kind of screwed because Nick disappeared from our room and we actually performed with 5 people and not 6.
Yeah.
Well, it helped that Ferry was
funny.
like standing on his head.
Yeah.
And there was Maggie and a not alive human. Like that in itself, I feel like was just going to get you votes.
I haven't even seen the other room, but like I also would have voted for Maggie, so I'm not mad.
I saw the
You
clip
know
of Barry
how-
standing on his head, and I was like, okay, that's
I
how
haven't
they
seen
won.
it yet.
Like,
I haven't had so much fun in a lot of time. Like it was so fun. I was doing perreo. Perreo is like a Puerto Rican dance, like we call it that way. And I was, I loved it. I was perreando all the way. It was so.
You know how hard it was to dance with this tie on. It was
Well,
incredibly
literally the words that came out from our room that round was left, right, balls to the wall. That's that.
There's
Also,
still like
room
buttons
2
laying
was
around.
dancing to Tony Basil's Mickey.
Hey, Mickey.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mickey, you're so fun, which we did not expect to hear last night on Sequester, but we got. Which was
It's so
nice.
weird because I think Room 2 did some sort of Thriller, or they were talking about it at least. And when I unmuted, I was like, the only thing I can think of is Thriller because they played it while we were all backstage. We didn't do that. But also, there's a lot of buttons on my floor from when I ripped my shirt off and broke everything. And we still lost. So I lost the round and I lost the shirt. So
There was a lack of unicorn dancing, unfortunately, Mark.
I mean,
I wanted to bring the unicorn in, but with the dance we were doing, it didn't allow me to like work with the unicorn. I was upset.
The unicorn did not fit into the dance moves, unfortunately. You hate to see it.
because it was mentioned, I just want to say thank you so much for playing the Thriller with Vincent Price's voice in it. Because I low-key have a huge crush on Vincent Price, even though he's old as fuck and dead.
Vincent Price, great. Love Vincent.
He's the king of horror. Just
school.
end of story. Vincent
The
Price.
music from backstage and everything was amazing. Like the music of this mini was amazing.
yes.
We're here for spooky season. We love spooky season. So going into the vote, so this ended up very interestingly being a what was this? This was a safety chain, which started with the wheel landed on, I feel like, the one person who did not need it at all, which was Dina, who was probably going to be saved regardless of who got it. But she started off the chain and essentially doled out who would be safe for at least the first 4 links and kind of decided where that was going. But I think it was pretty clear to me, knowing the City and Mark connection, that Brandy, you were in trouble because I don't think that
she knew right off the bat. I did not know about the City and Mark connection. So even when she rattled off what the 4 she wanted was, I still thought I had a fighting chance. I will say the hardest part of this was almost every person I saw in game, including you, Blake, said hashtag get Brandy to jury. Like every person in the entire game brought up, I want to get you there. And then to have it just boom, boom, boom. I spoke once the whole safety chain, and that was it.
Yeah, no, so you're definitely not wrong. I did want to see you make jury. Obviously, I think Nick City, you mentioned this earlier. I've known Nick City for a good bit of time. I knew the Nick City and Mark connection. I had a good relationship with Dina in that. So my concerns in that were getting me safe and getting Nick City safe. And so when Dina said, Blake, if you can give it to Nikki to give to Nick, I thought this is a good way for me to build this connection with Nikki. And then Nick City gets safety. It didn't click in my head, though, to be fair, that like you two would be the last two and that obviously Nick was going to give it to Mark. Like, I didn't really care either way once I was safe who left, but I was like, I want to see Nick City safe. So it was a shitty room to be in for that because I really genuinely didn't want any of you to leave.
When Dina said, I'm sorry, like I started pleading to Dina and she's like, I'm sorry, Mark, I have a group of people I'm working with. So I'm going to give it to Blake, to give to Nikki, to give to Ferry, to give to City. I was like, oh, I'll go on mute. I'm fine with that too. But also I knew that I would be safe because City was getting it last. But also I was so against, even though I was safe in that, I'm so against the person that gets safety chain first dictating the entire round because they got a fucking wheel. I hate it so much. Like, I don't know why it irritates me so much. You win a wheel and you get the pick who goes home. I hate it.
Yeah. Like, I saw a tweet that mentioned making a rule that you can only pick the next one and you can't say anything after that. And I fully support that rule because being able to dictate the entire chain is unfair. You should at least let people make their case to the next person.
Right. And honestly, Brandy, had me and Mark not had a connection, I probably would have taken you because like I am also very pro. No, if Mark, if you were not in the chain, because Brandy, we were in the same starting room and I love seeing girls go far in these two. And I was like, I'm literally taking out a woman who wants to make jury and I never make the jury either, which I said on my way out. And like, I was like, this sucks that I'm like, I took her out and then I took Ghost out and both of them have never made jury. And then I fucking went out pre-jury too. I was just like, all right, what a
City's like, if I can't make jury, no one fucking is.
We need Brandy in jury, period.
It's okay. I'm not meant for jury. I'm destined for the judges bench.
I mean, you did very well last night, though.
I feel so good this game. Like it was hands down. I felt confident. I felt like my first game, honestly, where I knew nothing except now I knew everything, and it was my game to lose, and I guess I just didn't make the connections I needed to. So.
From everything I've seen
in
on
that
Twitter,
room, because if you were in our room and the same thing, you were not going home. You were not going home.
I don't know how you feel about it, Brandy, but everything I saw on Twitter was just this was like I know that she went pre-jury still, but this was the best game that Brandy has played.
I felt phenomenal this game, which is weird because I only got half a glass of wine down the whole game. So I guess hashtag sober Brandy.
Play the sober mini Tuesday or Wednesday.
I'm not sober.
Really,
we can't be sober.
Really quick, I just wanna mention something because Dina in the YouTube chat said, I'm sorry, I just must say you literally did not have to listen to me. That's absolutely correct, and that's why I don't have an issue with somebody trying to dictate the safety chain. I mean, it makes for boring TV for sure. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But at the end of the day, like Dina saying it was really just like, oh, this is probably a good idea for me to do this. I do love the drama of someone saying, if I pick you, will you pick this person? And then them picking someone else. But like, it just didn't make sense in the moment. It was just kind of like, it was the validation I needed to pick Nikki to get Nick safe. So
yeah, and I think I'm not necessarily one to dictate like you can't decide the entire chain because like Dina said, you don't necessarily have to. Like Dina herself has been told who to give it to next and then immediately gave it to someone else, right? So you have the ability to break that chain if you choose to make that move, just like you have the ability to try to dictate who is going to get it. It doesn't necessarily mean it will be. And it's also showing your cards and putting yourself on the line, down the line, if you can't properly get people to listen to you. So I feel like
and I should specify.
Go ahead.
I hold nothing against you, Dina. You made a power move and like it worked out for you. You won, and I love that you won and you're the first person to get 3 wins. Like that's amazing. More so it's you get a major powerhouse dictating a chain halfway through the game where most people are pretty tipsy. The power of suggestion is pretty powerful at that point. So
Not even that, but I think now that I'm thinking about it, like it's right. Like you don't have to listen to the person dictating it. It was just Dina is such a force. Like
yeah, like
she's like
you
the
had
godmother. Like you do not want to go against Dina.
That's
I
like
think
how it
more so,
was.
just more
you say
so against like
something,
people
and I
being
go,
scared
yes,
of her.
ma'am.
Yeah,
You just had
like
that
literally.
persona and that voice, and it just okay. What you said goes. That's why I voted Henry out.
Even in the
Same.
early rounds, like
Same.
I was in rooms with her, and she was just like, "We're like the Duncan plan, the Josh plan, like everything." She was just like, "We're doing this," and I was just like, "Dina's right. Like, yeah, I am doing that." And like, I did it because it's Dina, and you listen to Dina. So
There's only one other game I've watched where I've seen something like that happen, and that was. Forgive me, I've already forgotten her name. If I look at my chats, I'll get it. But nope, I'm completely blanking on her name now. But she came into Final Four and someone said, "We're voting you," and she went, "No, you aren't." Just that was it. Just no, you're not. And that was
Tyra?
Wasn't Tyra. You know what? I have my phone right in front of me.
It really is. I mean, it really is all it takes. And that's kind of my, like when I try to help people prepare for Sequester and play, their first time or even like another game, it's just like, whatever you say it confidently. Like you have to believe it. If you go in and say something with your full heart and make them believe it's in their best interest, people will listen to you, because so many people play scared and just want to survive, that you need to be the force that is telling them this is the best move for you to make to better your game. And if you can convey that in a good manner, it will take you a long way.
Yep.
It was Amber. Amber looked at everyone, said, "You're not voting for me," and they were like, "Okay, cool." That's the only other person besides Dina that I've played with that just, when they said it, that's just okay.
Brandy, I feel like obviously there's been a lot of, finishes that weren't great, but I feel like if you were going to have your best finish to date, like this was the stage to do it on, right? Like you would prefer to do it on a mini that everybody's watching, on a big event on a Saturday. Where,
and with this kind of a
names.
cast with the huge, like you said, the huge names, the big stars. And I just played 2 other times this week, so my name's really out there, and everyone's like, #get Brandy to jury, and that I thought was my game. It wasn't. I hold no ill regards. It was a great game. I'm really happy I got to be part of it. I'm sorry I didn't have my full zombie get up for it. But
It was still good, and your video was great.
So great, Brandy.
Thank you.
So great.
The
today.
video is thanks to TR. So.
Brandy,
Yeah,
I've watched you a couple
TR.
times, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you and play with you. It was honestly an honor.
And likewise, with every single person tonight, it was great.
Thanks for coming
Love
on,
you,
Brandy.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so that brought us to round 11, which was the drag round.
My
which
heart
was yet another tie. City, Jenny, Yarel, and Nick, but ended up with City's elimination. And then the drag of Ghost, almost to jury for both of you. Let's discuss a little bit about what happened.
I still want to know who voted for me. Like this, I was like, ooh.
I
Yarel,
threw a
it
vote
was
on you,
me.
Yarel. Yeah, I threw a vote on you, Yarel, because I was like, Yarel is so fucking cool, and no one has said his name at all this whole fucking time. So I'm gonna vote for Yarel because he's not gonna go, and he's not gonna go.
I did the same thing with you. I vote my vote to you. I was like, yeah,
Okay.
City.
I knew when like maybe a minute in the round, this is gonna be like a crapshoot round. No one was telling any names. So I knew everyone were just gonna throw their votes. So I guess like what I did in the rooms that I were in was like, well, there's no name going around, just don't throw your votes on me. It's like it was hard. And I guess like moving forward, I intentionally threw a vote on Yarel, not thinking that he would get enough votes to get into the tie. And then Audrey announces the mod LOS. I was alone in room 1. went to room 4, room limited, and I know that room 1 was empty, so I went right back to ask for the LOS, and that's where I got the LOS. And that's where
I knew it was you. I knew it.
Yeah.
But we are gonna talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. So
you could have given it to me.
So when it was on a tie, I was really looking on targeting Jenny here because as much as I don't want City and Mark to go together to jury, I feel like it would be in my best interest to keep them for the meantime. But then I was telling Ghost right before the round ended, do not throw your vote on City, do not throw your vote on Nick. Choose between Yarel and Jenny.
I voted
and then he voted for
in the
City.
original.
See, you told me that you told me the opposite of that, Fair. You said, I don't care who you vote for, just don't
Vote
throw
for
your
Nick.
vote on either City or Jenny, maybe. And I was like, well, I'm not voting City, obviously. Like,
Yeah. Oh no, this is with Ghost with you. I was just making sure that Nick does not get a throw vote here.
I vote. I mean,
So
I threw my vote on him
I was
anyway.
trying to save Nick in this round.
To be honest, I didn't want to vote for Yarel. I didn't want to vote for Nick, and I didn't want to vote for Jenny because those were 3 people I was actually working with, and said they'd keep me safe. So I knew that if the 3 of them went up or went out, and they revealed my vote, they would take me out. Just for like, oh, you're working with me now, you took me out. So the only person left was City, so I threw it on him, and he guessed me and took me out.
I will say too, sorry, Ghost, but you were the only person who I knew voted for me because I was very confused. I was confused I was in the tie, and then I was confused that I left because I didn't even, no one told me that like, oh, your name's going around, like nothing at all. So I was like even in the revote, no one was like, I heard this one's vote, like nothing. So I was just like, I literally only had to go based on that. And I will say I went into this room and it was me, the clip is like on Twitter. It was me, Nikki, Maggie, and Nick, and they were all like, we need to stick together, we all need to throw our votes on Jenny, this, that, and then like Jenny popped in just like everyone dipped except me, and I'm just like, hi Jenny, and then like the round ended like right after that, and I was like, if I fucking vote for her, she's gonna reveal my vote and she's gonna drag me the fuck out, so I cannot vote for her. So I threw my vote again because I was like, she's literally gonna pick to reveal my vote, and like she hopped in the room as we were all saying, let's vote for her, why wouldn't she? So I was so confused, but yeah, it was a shit show to say the least.
Yeah, I felt better when I jumped in that room and I thought that the people that were voting for me were in that room and that they likely would not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that, bitch.
Yeah, going into that.
If I can be honest,
I honestly,
wait, what?
I thought I was. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought I was going to be voted off that round. That's the kind of, I just had that idea that I would be voted. So by mine, sorry, but if I had to, it'd probably be Nick City anyway. So it would have been a tit for tat.
Can I maybe this was just me, but I was a little put off by all like the ghosts like signs like hashtag get ghost to jury. Like it just like it rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. I don't know. Like I would like for you to get to jury too, but like I don't know. Like
I feel like
I don't know.
every player who has played this game like multiple times.
Well, then I should have voted you out.
Too bad you didn't.
Well, I was just saying that every player who plays this game like multiple times, numerous times, like we do all want like to achieve a certain milestone in our like sequester journey, and I feel like Chris as Ghost really wanted that, and I feel like he played this game last night with the best that he can, and that resulted of why
Look
he
me in
made.
the face and tell me you didn't want to vote it out.
Oh my goodness!
We love to see
I had
the
no
reveal.
idea.
I'm shocked. Oh no, Ghost is gone. I had a fun little
Ghost
banner
is
that Ghost's social media was just going to be question marks, but now I actually throwing everything off.
But yeah, I was.
Delete the footage.
That,
Delete the footage.
The fact that Chris has played multiple games already, I feel like it's just really like his wanting to get there, and I do believe that it will happen eventually, Chris. And with
I always get targeted early for no unknown reason. This was actually my second ever Patron Mini, and the first Patron Mini I ever played, I was the first to for voting out Mallory.
And this time you didn't even get voted out.
I know, exactly.
And when I figured out Ghost was Chris, every time, Chris, that I've watched you play, I feel like you get targeted for literally no reason. So that was my main, like, I wanted to see you get to jury because I feel like it's never like you're playing bad. I felt like it's always just some random bullshit reason. Number two, I just want to say I was Team Chaos this round. I wanted us to go to a wheel. I was very excited for the prospect of a wheel. I thought it would be fun. Also, Nick City, can we talk about how you thought I was one of the people that was trying to get you taken out this round? Because I would absolutely never do that in my life.
I heard once I got out that you looked sus after I left and nervous.
First of all, I always look sus and nervous. When the vote tied, I just sat in a room the entire time, and everyone that came in, I said, vote Jenny. Did that happen?
I
No,
will never
but
vote Jenny. I will never vote Jenny.
Well, Jenny, I never knew if I could trust you because I was like, I felt like, I don't know. It just felt weird. I was worried.
If you could have seen my face,
not unmuting. I was too nice.
Got voted out.
Jenny, you were very nice.
From the same reason as Chris, I was like, Jenny always gets targeted for no reason. Like, no, she deserves to be in jury this time. And I was like, no, she's not going this time. And I was like, wait, but maybe I'm going then. And it was an horrible round for me.
It was not fun for me either because I was like,
it was hard.
I was confused that whole round. I was like, what is like literally happening? And then Jenny popped in as we were all fucking talking. I was like, great, I'm fucked. I was like, I'm done this round, no matter what happens. So yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah, I feel like there was a little kind of a shift less because there were a lot of people who we, have seen a bunch and root for, but haven't necessarily gone that far. And we saw them, get pushed to the next level, or at least, close to the next level and right around that jury phase, which was good to see. And some names that we typically see go far leave a little bit earlier, which was different. Just to go back to the round. So City, obviously very, very close to making it to jury. What was the one jury you made? What
Blood versus Water, where I got third, and I got taken out because of the memory game thing at Final Five.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I didn't even go out because of a
you
vote.
made jury. Oh, so you have made jury. Okay, I don't feel bad anymore.
Oh, only once.
So how was your experience overall?
I had a lot of fun. This was only my second Patreon game, and I wanted to apply with Mark, and we both got on, and so I've had a lot of fun playing with him. So I was ecstatic about that, and I had met all of you guys, and I got to play with Blake too, and everything. So I'm very satisfied with it, despite me leaving kind of early. And yeah, before I go, I just wanted to shout out that me and Mark and like some other Sequester people are like hosting
Daniel.
Yeah, we're hosting like a Big Brother Skype game. So if anyone is interested in applying for that or at all, you could message me or him and we could help you out. So
we love games. We love games.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
And then Ghost, we're still going to use this banner because I find it fun. How was your first ever mini as a Ghost, as the
It was great. It was actually, this was probably one of the more fun minis I've played because yes, I was targeted a few times, but I had enough people that I knew I was working with that I kind of felt a bit safe, which is rare in a game where I just kind of get targeted from like round 1 or 2 for no reason. So for me, it was quite a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm also going to start a game. I'm going to get a private game, and it's going to be called the Get Chris to Jury game. And no one's allowed to vote for me until I get to jury.
I will sign up to be first vote.
We want to see the return of Chris, obviously, but we also want to see the return of Ghost, because Ghost is now a member of the Sequester community as well. So don't forget Ghost. Hashtag don't forget Ghost. Bring Ghost back. Thank you, both of you, for joining
Great
us.
game, you both. It was great playing with you all.
Had a lot of fun with all of you guys. The whole cast was great, honestly. I did not dislike anyone, so which is a shock for me. So
Thanks for coming on.
So, see you guys.
See you, Chris. See you, Nick.
Bye.
All right, so let's get into the jury round. Blake,
Jury, baby.
I was surprised you were so willing to go to the wheel there, knowing that you had the LOS. I was concerned that if you let it go there, you were going to lose it. But I mean, you ended up losing it anyway the next round. But I thought that was going to be the one thing that would take you out when you were in a pretty decent spot.
So more than anything for me, as a person who watches a lot of Sequester, I am always here for the most chaotic outcome possible. And I think that at times it bleeds over into my gameplay, which isn't a great way to play. Playing for the most chaos possible, not good. But I also felt like, I don't know, maybe saying I wanted it to go to the wheel was a stretch, but I was less concerned with breaking the tie because I felt like it was inevitable that it was going to stay tied. Just with 4 people being in a tie and there's only 11 votes, it's like there's such a high likelihood that it's going to tie again. So I wasn't super pressed. The next round, had no idea my name was out there, did not hear it one single time. Can someone please, for the love of God, shine some light on why the fuck I left that round?
I was the one who threw out your name, Blake, because I was scared as well in this round. My name did not really go out a lot. Mark told me that he voted for me already, so that's like I just need 4 people. I talked to Dina, I talked to Maggie and Nikki to do the vote on you, Blake, but Dina was a bit hesitant, so I needed to bounce around. I think I ended up in a room with Mark and Yarel to push that vote, and yeah, we were able to make that Blake vote there.
That's fair. I also never saw you throughout the game. Like I was just thinking about that when you came on. Is like I feel like we never really ran into each other. Yeah. The only reason I'm legitimately pissed at myself is because I went into 9 thinking that 8 would be the safety chain, and having already done a safety chain in that dance competition round, I felt like I could get safety from somebody. I saved that LOS from round 1, and I just kept going, okay, I need to play it, but let me just save it. Okay, I need to play it, let me just save it. So my thought was like, if I was at the bottom of the chain at 8, then I'm safe, but I should have just played it at 9. I didn't move around a lot. I feel like that round was very quick. Maybe it's just the being voted out thing that made me feel like it was quick, but I voted for Nick that round, so it was just...
Mark tried to tell you that your name was around and you bounced the room. In that moment, it was like, oh, well.
Yeah. I got too greedy with the LOS. That's what it really comes down to, is I was trying to save it for a rainy day, and unfortunately, it was a big thunderstorm.
Yeah. I was curious about your relationship with Dina, because it seemed like
she was protecting you.
Early. Yeah, and she was protecting, but you were not assuming, but I guess you didn't vote for her. It seemed like she was, like you were both in separate rooms. One was saying her name, one was saying your name. She was trying to deflect and protect your name. And then in your room, they said Dina, and you were like, okay, I'll do that.
I mean, my thing with Dina, we were tethered the round when Adam went home. And Dina... I mean, we haven't really talked a ton in the past. She was on the commentary that they did for the bootless game, which is the farthest I've ever been. And then I hopped on there after I was out. But I really do... Why is something popping up on my screen? Let's not do that. I really do admire Dina. I feel like she's a great human being. And so getting to see her in this game and getting a chance to play with her, I was so excited. We had a moment where it was just her and I the round that we were tethered. And I was like, look, I have you 1000%. I know that she's a big target that people are going to come after. I wasn't opposed to the idea of her leaving only because it was a name. Actually, no, I had already voted for Dina, so I couldn't vote for her. That's why when they threw her name out to me, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it, because I knew I was never going to do that. But yeah, I don't know. Dina rides for her people. That is one thing that you can never take away from her. She is an incredible player, and she does make some shady moves sometimes in games. But when she tells you she has you, she will fucking ride for her people, and she did that for me, which I couldn't be more grateful for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Blake, I will say I appreciate that sign. That sign warmed my heart. You might have it.
I gotta go get it. Hold on.
Well, you don't have to go get it, but okay. All right, he's gonna go get it. In the
Important
meanwhile,
stuff.
it is important stuff. It is very nice. I was. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Look at that.
It was eliminated last night.
Yeah, it was my favorite thing of the night was that lit up sign and how it
I got a warning for holding the sign up. I mean, they didn't like warn me, but they were like, just a reminder that you can't have signs. And I'm like, nobody told me that, but I'm still gonna rep.
I don't count that as a sign. That's not like, writing a note. That's a proper sign.
So
I had this sign up.
I bought this sign yesterday and I was like, what a purchase. Why did I buy this? What should I do with it? So in the 10 minutes before we went into the room, I was like, I'm just going to write Louie's name on here. I feel like this would be a good person to shout out consistently throughout the game. But yeah, it was a nice moment.
There you go. It was very nice. And I was very thrilled to see you go as far as you did. As you know, I'm the leader of your fan club. I feel like you are Team Fun Feeds at all time, and we need fun feeds on Sequester. What were your thoughts as compared to the last Patron Mini playing this one?
I mean, I'll say this. I do love 821. I love all those people, but I had a much better time this time. I think I know a lot of people in the org community that have watched Sequester, and every time they watch, they say, this seems really like, I don't know what the phrase I'm looking for, but just super connected. It's hard to succeed unless you know people. My opinion is that Sequester gives out what you put into it. So if you put a lot into the community and like take the time to learn about how to play the game, you're only going to do better and better. Obviously, like Southern Fried, I was first boot, which was I went down from the first time, but since then I got 10th and I got 9th, and I'm hoping the next time I play, which may or may not be very soon, I can do a little bit better. And you know what? Maybe I'll just keep going one placement at a time until I get to first. But yeah, it was a great time. The Saturday games feel like more low pressure to me in a weird way, even though I know that's not true. I just feel like Friday, everybody's like, okay, cool, it's time to watch Sequester. Saturday, they're like, I got other things to do. So I don't know. I just went in to have fun. That's all that I care about, because winning a game for $0.00 that I actually paid money to play, it's not the most important thing in the world. So I had fun. I drank a lot of wine. I met a lot of cool people. And I got to cast a jury vote, so that was fun.
That was going to be my last question for you before I let you go. Tell me a little bit about your jury vote and how you decided on it.
Yeah, so this was a tough one for me. I told them both. It's like I wanted to vote for them both so much that I didn't want to have to vote for either, because I didn't want to like cast a vote against the other one. So my thing with Dina is, if you walk into a game and you don't immediately say, let's take out this 2-time winner, maybe not because they're a 2-time winner, but that has to be in your mind. How the fuck do people keep letting Dina make the end of games? Like, that was my thought process. Is like, Nikki played a great game, but her target is so much less substantial than Dina, who is a 2-time winner. She's made Final 2 a couple other times, maybe. She made it in the game with Robin. Fuck. Yeah, so it's like, how could I... And she just exudes power. Like, the safety chain round is a great example. How no one has to listen to Dina, but they just do. I do love Nikki, though. I think she's incredible. Her win is coming very soon. Her win should have come a long time ago. I remember during Astrological, somebody said, like, this feels like a Nikki win. And it just keeps happening. They keep robbing her. Nikki, love you to death. Keep playing, because you're going to get the win. I was just happy to get to vote, which everyone should exercise their right to vote.
Period.
Snaps for that. Thank you for coming on, Blake. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Thank you all. Love you all so much.
Playing with you,
deep
Blake.
tongue kiss any single one of you.
All right. So that brings us to final 8. This was an interesting round where you were paired in a room with one other person, and that was the only person you could talk to while making the vote. And this resulted, sadly, in Mark leaving. So who did everybody? Were you all in separate? I feel like were you all in different pairs?
Yeah.
I was with
Nick.
Yarel.
I was with
Dina.
Okay, I'm actually interested how the votes went down here because I did not vote with Nick.
Oh.
The both of you
I
voted
voted for
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
Jenny, who were you with?
Yeah.
I was with Dina. I am unsure if we voted. I know who I voted for. I voted for Yarel. We had talked about the two of you. And as the thing came up, we said, okay, let's do what we said first. And I thought it was Yarel. So I don't know if she voted for Mark or Yarel.
So now that this is around that I go home and the spotlight's on me, and we love the spotlight being on me, I've been told that Jenny was the one that threw my name out consistently all game, and that's why my name was always coming out. And I just want to know why, because I don't understand.
Well, I had a list of people I wanted to work with. A lot having to do with people that had never made it to jury before. I played this game differently than I had before, which was I normally play just let's see if I can win, and then I go out before jury. There were so many people I wanted to make jury this time that I knew had not, that I played differently. I did play to get to jury this time.
Yeah, I've seen your game, Jenny, and you did that last night. Like, it was a different game from the games that you have played previously. I just got a confirmation from Dina that she voted for Yarel too.
Yeah.
Okay, so this round, it was me and Nick in a room, and the whole time I was really thinking of playing an LOS on Mark to save him. But the thing is, we kind of knew that, I guess the votes went 3-2-2-2-1, something like that. And I think it was Nick, Maggie, and Nikki that sent Mark home with 3 votes. I had 1 vote on Jenny. So that would have still forced a tie. I was just apprehensive that it might be one of my allies going home if I played the LOS on.
I knew when that
I couldn't convince Nick to vote for Jenny there.
Yeah, I knew when that twist was announced that was my fate, because everybody everyone was getting votes before, but like my name was always tossed around like the entire game, and I was just able to have people defend me, and like I would bounce around rooms. Like the one time when I forget what round it was, maybe final. Then the Ron City went home. Like Dina was like, I don't know what you did, Mark, but like you did that. You got me to flip and not vote for you. Like I was working my ass off in rooms, and like when I knew that I couldn't bounce from room to room to do that, I knew that I was toast.
And Maggie had told me she didn't want to do you several rounds, and I wanted to work with Maggie. So when Maggie said that, I kind of backed off for a few rounds. I did, I think, blow up the rest of my game by being paired with Dina, because I basically said, I am sure that Fairy and Nikki are coming after me. Have you heard them saying my name? And she was like, I don't know. And so then I realized, okay, and I know that Fairy and Dina are close, but I
knew since the beginning. I was like, Fairy and Dina.
Okay, on a game point though, like not like thinking about outside game, Dina was beneficial for my game as well, because if Dina goes out, I'll be the only winner left in the game, and that would paint a huge target on my back. So I needed Dina at least at.
I disagree, Fairy, because there was no chance I was ever going to vote for you, and if your name ever came up or City's name ever came up, I would have deflected so hard of both of you.
But in the end game, if I lose Dina early, it might just have turned on me. I don't know. We don't know what would have happened. Yeah. So.
And I wasn't going to vote Dina ever.
Yeah.
Exactly. Once I decided to change my game.
In that round, I think what changed the vote was initially Nikki and Maggie discussed
going
voting
for Dina.
And and then changed their mind at the end of the round and voted Mark, which I think is what.
I
still
almost
creates
say
up with
Dina
you
with
probably
Mark.
would
I was
say it.
thinking
We would
about
have
it.
had a
I
three-way
wish
But I was
because
tie.
like,
the second we did that safety chain round and Dina was like, and Dina got it, and I started pleading. I'm like, my name's always been around. Like, you, like, there's no point in taking me out here. Like, give me safety. And she's like, I'm sorry, Mark, but like, there's a group of people I'm working with. And then she lifts it off who she wanted safe. And like, as the game's going on, these people are still around. And I'm like, this final five is like blatant. But like, I felt like in this game in particular was so different from my first game because I had no agency in the game. Like, I wasn't able to push anything because my name was always out. So I just had to be at the mercy of other people and try and just plead to stay rather than plead to push names.
Yeah.
So that's like, I was never going to push Dina because I knew she was so connected. And I knew that definitely would have been the death of me way earlier if I tried to do that.
I was
we
gonna say
did
that, Mark,
need
you
because
played your. Oh, sorry, Yarel.
oh no, it's okay. Keep going. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna like tell Mark how like different his game. I was in Mark's first game in the wrestling mini, and he ended up in the final two, and like you pretty much played a much harder game this time, given the cards you had to deal with. But I think you still like did it well. You went as far as you could. I wish I could have taken you as farther as I can. But I mean, I had to think about my game as well moving forward.
Yeah, which is understandable. I played so much differently. Like when I logged back on, like people were met, like Johnny Stockton was like, "You look so stressed and defeated," and I was like, honestly, like I was playing that up so much because I wanted people to feel bad for me and be like, "Oh wow, this guy's really fighting," and this and that. Like that's the only thing I could do in that point. Like it was so different from my first game, but it was so much harder, but it was so much more rewarding as well. Like I didn't make it to the end.
Yeah.
However, like this is a patron game. The cast was stacked. I made jury. Like I played my ass off, and like my big thing was I scheduled one tweet for the night, and it was like 8:45. I said, like everybody that asked me to play a patron after my first game, like I'm doing this now for you guys. Like I just don't want to disappoint you. And that tweet went out at 8:45, and the first round ended at 8:42. And Henry said he heard my name in the first round. I'm like, oh my god, the scheduled tweet's gonna go live, and I'm gonna be first boot, and it's gonna be so fucking embarrassing. But honestly, this game, I just wanted to make the people proud that believed in me for my first game, and I hope I did that. Like I played my ass off, and I had so much fun.
You're a
We're
great
proud.
player.
You
You're a
really
great player.
Yeah, as one of the believers, one of the initial Mark Hallman believers, I can say very assuredly that you made us all proud. I was delighted to see you play. As you know, we've talked about this leading up to you playing your first patron and getting the opportunity. And I know it's been weeks in the making. And I think you went on a stage, which, you know, not a ton of people saw the wrestling mini.
Yeah.
Like now the fact that you played on the main stage, people saw it and people saw that you are a force to be reckoned with in Sequester. And you played an absolutely incredible game. And I am still a fan, despite the fact that you called me out for fantasy football.
Okay, first off, I'm kicking his ass, and I'm projected to beat him by 40 points. But also, every confessional before that, I screamed #support Podquester. And I also screamed, it's always #fuck Johnny Stockton.
Always.
Dina is requesting for you to stay, Mark.
I know,
She's
I
coming
see
into
that,
you.
yeah. She might be.
Here she is. Congratulations.
Dina, queen!
Hi, everyone.
queen
Hi,
is
friends.
here.
I didn't want Mark to leave before I reminded him that he did definitively convince me to vote City out. And in that moment, he became my number one because City was my number one before that. And yes, I didn't vote for you. I was like really scared when Jenny was telling me who she thought the people that were going after her were. I was like, darn it. I hope that's not the case, but I didn't want to vote for you, Mark, at that point. I didn't want you to go home. I wanted to see you keep winning. You made a very convincing argument to me when I was ready to be just like, we got everyone to jury. Let's me and Mark just peace out. You were like, no, why are we doing that? Let's keep playing.
I thought you really made a good argument when we unmuted. It was me, you, and Ferry, and I was like, guys, like Ferry knows City was my number one. I'm a free agent. I'm not fucking scared to go to the end with 2 winners, and I'm still not. Like I would do it. But I think that
I didn't believe you, but it was an incredible argument, and I wasn't going to vote for you. And I thought you played a fantastic game. You did such a good job with your makeup. And
yes.
I didn't want you to leave before I got to say that I really enjoyed playing with you. I think you're a fantastic player. I think you've been fantastic on the commentary. I love playing with City. and I love playing with you. And although I'm not going to be playing anytime soon, I think you might be joining me at Winners at War. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, we
Love
love
it.
to
Wow,
see
that's
it.
the statement.
Man,
Look at that.
Period.
That
Literally,
is a big. That
love
is big.
goosebumps.
Period.
Oh.
Period.
Ah.
We'd love to see that.
That's why people like me, guys. I'm good with the words. Come on. No, but I really mean all of it, Mark. You saw, and you're going to go back and watch it. Like, I don't. You'll see everything about it, right? Like, I was never really pushing your name, but I was easily like, okay, let's go, let's do this. And you were the one who argued your way deeper into that situation. So I'm very proud of you.
And I feel like this just confirms like how good of a player you are. Like, two different situations in two different games, you did well. You thrived in both situations you were in. There's like, it's an understatement that you will make it to the end again.
I love you guys.
Oh, look at that.
You're
Oh,
good.
I'm never speechless. Like Dina, like what fairy, like what?
No.
Well, Mark, before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about your jury vote and how you decided on who you were going to vote for.
So my outlook on the entire game after that safety chain round was that Dina was fucking running the game. And she was. And when I looked back at my notes and like I'm looking at like the Henry vote and I'm like, oh, like, you know, Dina was in the room and she told me to do that all the way from round 2. Like she was running shit and it was like predictable is like, I feel like it's a bad word, but like I was like there's no way she doesn't get to the end. And then when she like came in that room and I'm kind of like, I like my ego boosted because I'm self-conscious and Dina was like, you did that. Like you got me to flip. I'm like, oh my God, Dina. So like it was a combination of like, I felt like Dina was super, super nice to me. I feel like I didn't see Nikki a lot during the game. And also like Dina ran the fucking game. I know Nikki played an incredible game. Like she really, really did. I know from my experience in my game, my first game that I went final 2 in, I lost because people thought that the story of the multiple game arc of Travis being first boot to final 2, like spoke to them and they won. And knowing how I felt about losing that way, I wouldn't want to base my vote on Nikki being a runner up or like before that or like her story in past games. And I just thought Dina really played the fucking shit out of this game.
There we go.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mark, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Louie. I love you. Hashtag support Podquester. And you know, it's always hashtag fuck Johnny Stockton.
I love Johnny Stockton.
No, I do
love
too.
Johnny
love him
Stockton.
so
No, I know.
one of my best friends. Okay. Thank you guys. I love you. Bye.
Love you, Mark.
Bye. All right. So
Johnny Stockton is who taught me not to trust people in Sequester. Thank you, Johnny Stockton.
Johnny Stockton is who has taught me not to trust people in life. JK, we love Johnny Stockton. Okay. So that moved us on to an elimination chain, which didn't last very long, unfortunately, for Jenny. I feel like this went very quickly in terms of how we got it. So it was elimination, not safety chain, elimination chain, where we got one person who had the final decision, which was Nikki, who chose to eliminate Jenny. Now, I was sure, I spoke with you a little bit about this beforehand, Dina. I was so sure, because Nikki had been hinting at the fact that she wanted to take you out earlier in like the previous few rounds. And I said, maybe this is it. Like if Nikki gets this chance, she might just eliminate Dina. And I was shocked when she chose Jenny. Did all of you think that when Nikki had that decision that that was what she was going to do, or where were you thinking it was leading?
I feel like, well, when Jenny gave me the first unsafety, that was a confirmation that, okay, Jenny's coming after me. So I had to say that whoever gets this, and like the only way for Jenny to be saved there was maybe for the soul vote being with Yarel there. So before I passed it on to Yarel, I had to say that the person I did not connect with a lot all throughout the game was Jenny. So I hope that whoever gets the soul vote would take out Jenny. And Nikki and I were pretty much aligned the whole game. I had a final 2 with her. So I then gave the unsafety to Yarel just to ensure that would happen. If Nikki would have done Dina there, I would
be completely shocked.
Yeah, and I think it was really clever that you eliminate me in that, because if I have the solo vote, you were going out, like for sure. Because I was like, I think he have an LOS, so I want him to use it. So probably I'm gonna eliminate. I don't know. I was thinking about Nick or Dina. I was like, one of them two is leaving. Like Jenny never came to my mind. Like I will never eliminate Jenny in that round, and not Nikki and not Maggie. So I was like, it's Fairy. That's my first option. But if he have the LOS that I think he does, is Dina or Nick.
Yeah, I was
Nick-
gonna
Nick-
eliminate Yarel. I was never
Yeah.
gonna eliminate Jenny.
Nick also had an LOS at that point.
Yeah.
So it was probably Dina. If I was a
Yeah.
solo vote.
Yeah. And I would have, and it was a relief to me when Yarel gave it to me, because that laid out for me what I was gonna do in the next round. Because Yarel's not someone I naturally want to target. And so as soon as he did that, I was like, okay, great. So either someone's going to do a big move here, which I didn't really feel like Nikki would, because I felt like I told Nikki round one, I felt my destiny was final 5. And so I felt like Nikki wouldn't get rid of me, because she knew that maybe if she didn't keep me in front of her one step of the way, then she would get 5, which she's gotten before, I believe. So I felt confident when Nikki got it that it would be Jenny, because Fairy had kind of named the target at the beginning, and Nikki also indicated verbally in the previous safety chain, I'm going to do it for Dina's wishes, which I was like, damn it, Nikki, that's internal monologue shit, not external monologue.
Right.
But it felt to me that that was going to be the string of how she was going to play it. And I felt relieved that it didn't have to be me. So I didn't have to take Yarel, just because for me, between Yarel and Jenny, I knew Jenny would stick closer to me. And then when you did that, I was like, okay, it's mutual. Perfect. I love it. I'm not misreading it. Excellent. And then it kind of clarified for me how 6-5 would go.
When Nikki had the solo vote, I was like, is Jenny or Nick out? It's one of them. I knew she was not going to take me out. I knew it, because Nikki and I have like a really big connection since 626. She was my first mini. She knows my biggest disappointment in this game. Like, she knows everything that I've been through in this community, and I knew she was not going to take me out, because she was the only person that can hurt me taking me out in this game. Like, I will never take anything. If Jenny or Fairy or Dina or Maggie take me out, I will be like, oh my God, this is an honor. It's okay. But Nikki was like actual like a big friendship upside, and I will be like, ouch. So yeah, I knew she was not taking
And it
me
wouldn't
out.
have been good for her game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that point, and Nikki's modding right now. Hi, Nikki, I love you. But it wouldn't have been good for Nikki's game to get rid of you at that point. I think intelligent parties would disagree if she should have gotten rid of me, and I'm not one to advocate on my losing a game. But I think that Yarel was very clearly safe there, because if you looked at the dynamics of the combination, I think she could have even gotten Jenny on her side more easily than if she would have gotten rid of you. So I think you were the most clearly safe person.
Yeah.
And then Nick and Fairy were also safe by virtue of both their relationships as well as their LOSs. Maggie was safe because her and Yarel should have ideally been Nikki's top 4. And then it was kind of between me and Jenny. And ultimately she decided to further the consensus vote rather than to make a big move, which I would say likely would have gotten her out at 5 or 4, with people saying, you took out Dina, Dina's the biggest threat. It's easier to make a big move to take out the biggest player at 4 and not get dragged than at 5 when I didn't have a vote, than at 6 when it's your sole vote and you're just looking down the pipeline of how do these people feel about me now and what my threat level is.
And when the safety chain started, I sort of looked at who all was there, and I thought about whether there was anything that I could say that wouldn't damage some of the people that I still wanted to be going forward. So I didn't want to put Maggie on the spot. And by that time, I had internally confirmed that Ferry and Nikki were working with Dina. And so to me, it was between Nick and Ferry. And I saw Nick acting like I was going to do him. And I was like, no, you're not going to get to make that decision, Nick. So it's Ferry. So that's basically where the decision came from.
Who would you have felt most comfortable with having the final decision? Was there anyone in particular that you thought you would be safe with?
Maybe Maggie. But I don't know. Looking back, some of the votes, I don't know if she felt like I was a vote for her or not. And maybe Dina. But that was it. I didn't realize that Yarel and I were like that. He wouldn't have taken me out, probably. I would have hoped. But I knew if it were Ferry, Nick, and I thought Nikki was taking me out.
Gotcha. What did you, your overall thoughts on the game, and also I want to get, obviously, who you voted for and why. But first off, how was it playing on the night?
It was great. When I started seeing the people that were playing, though, I was like, oh, my Lord, what have I gotten myself into? And then I saw Dina. And then when I figured out who Ghost was, I was like, he and I had a really long conversation after we both got booted from mentors. And I just felt compelled at that point to do everything possible to get us to jury. So, yeah, it was just a really weird game, but I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed getting to jury and being able to have some input there at the end. So
you've played your best game yet, Jenny, and
thanks. And obviously danced my butt off with you too.
My favorite gift. Oh my God, I love that gift so much.
So, and my vote, it was obviously Dina. I was very confused when Dina didn't raise her hand, though. I sent her something at like 4:00 in the morning. I was like, did you really not think I was going to vote for you, Dina? Like, I know how much you helped me throughout this game. And I do think there's something to be said about that. Normally, I would want to try to sneakily go after the person that I felt was the biggest threat, and there was no way I was going to do that in this game because of what I knew Dina was doing for me. So
thank you so much, Jenny. And like I responded to Jenny, I blacked out halfway through those questions, and I started not knowing if I was counting right or if I was winning or losing or if I seemed cocky or who anyone was, and I just randomly raised my hand up and down. I'm so thankful to you, Jenny. I feel like part of why this was an interesting experience for me is because I co-host the Mentors Mini, and so I very deeply got into the experience of what it's like to be a pre-juror and to be a new player. And I have this incredible experience of knowing these people, but also understanding their specific journeys. And I apologize to the people that I didn't know as well in this cast. And I applied for Friday and I didn't get in. So, facts. And I applied for Saturday because I thought it would be really fun. And because the prom mini was kind of weird for me. And because I bought a shit ton of makeup at the dollar store at Target. And so I was so happy to see you. I felt like this mini was more about me getting the people that I really wanted to see have a chance to play, get a chance to play. And I was very genuinely surprised when I got to the end. And we can talk about that. But getting to play with Jenny, getting to play with all of you, getting to have the international players really try to make big moves and make strategic alliances. If there's anything I can do ever inside or outside of the game to facilitate people having a better experience, that's part of why it's good to be my ally. But I do understand that ultimately, you know, I feel like you've made jury. You know, you've got it. Next time it's gonna be the win. And I feel like different casts are more applicable to different gameplay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna find your right casts, and you're gonna push through those barriers, right? And you're gonna make those really strong allies. And I think you're someone who's so naturally warm and loving. And your intro video was incredible. Can I just say that? I was like, I want to be chaperoned by Jenny. Like, yes. And so it's coming, right? And so it was such an honor to play with you. I wish we got to play. Like I said, I would have taken you out, just like he wanted to take me out. Boo. I know, rivals. And you know that you have me forever if you have
and you all as well. So great experience. Great experience.
Love you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so we will
It's
go
time.
to the final 6, which was Dina versus Yarel. Yarel versus Dina.
The
I feel
sweetest
like it's
rivalry
kind of
ever. Thank you.
I mean, I love
head-to-head.
you. All I was thinking, I was like, why aren't all the rest of my rivals this nice to me? It's such a pleasure to have such an attractive and
I was
confident
trying.
rival, fashionable too, may I say.
Thank you.
Go
I was trying to be like sweet, but like trying to make a message like, bow her out, please, but sweet. Because honestly, it was, I was for real when I said it was an honor being targeted by Dina. It's like Dina thinking that I'm bad for her game, like targeted me. Thank you. Like Dina
had to go. You had to go.
Dina thinking that I'm treating her. This is it. Like I'm in jury with all these amazing players, like all were runner-ups or winners, and I was there like, hi. So I was 19th place and 10th place. I never make jury. I never make it this far. And wow, it was such an honor to be there. And I have moved in my head, but it was the moment, it was the motion, it was like everything. So I did the move that I wanna did, but whatever. We talk about that now.
Yeah, I feel like Yarel, like for the most part of the game, you knew your path. You knew who you're aligned with, and you knew who to vote out at the most part. And I think that helped your case a lot. You like making that move on Dina, I guess, was in your best interest as well. To plead to the other 4, who's pretty much set who will not vote during that round. But for my game, I knew I needed Dina still, at least final 5 or final 4. So I played the LOS on Dina, not knowing that Nick also played this LOS on Dina during that round, and that was the only vote that took you out during that round.
And it was a math problem. I mean, that was a round where it was purely a math problem. And I think that ultimately, once the 4 said they weren't voting, I knew I had to vote. I knew you had to vote for me. And I knew people were going to play an LOS for me because they didn't want to go to a wheel. Because if someone were to play an LOS for you, then there would be no votes, and then it would be a wheel. And I knew none of them were brave enough at that point, and also
they want to have
the
a
same
vote for the
time
next round.
secure enough in their group of 4, but also not brave enough to have to fight to pretend like they weren't the other vote. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To say, let's just get rid of one of them. And I felt like ultimately the LOSs would come to my side. And if it were to be a tie vote, then again, like it would be a wheel and both you and I would be good.
Yeah.
So
I really wanted to
Brandy,
push a wheel. I was going to vote for Fairy and not for you, because I knew people were going to put LOSs on you, and I was thinking about voting for Fairy. So it was gonna be a tie, and you have to vote Fairy with me to not force the wheel, or it was going to be a tie. But I don't know. I thought that
I would have gone to a wheel for Fairy.
I was thinking about
Yeah.
maybe Maggie or Nikki are going to, I don't know, take the 2-time winner out. Like
Yeah.
I really thought, I was like, there's a possibility. And like I'm gonna do this because I'm here, top 6. This is the best thing that can happen to me right now. Let's do it. Let's see. I don't know. I said maybe someone play an LOS on me. Who knows? So I just did it, and I hope I would do like. I really wanted to vote for Furry. I really wanted, but I was like, I said I'm gonna vote for Dina. So if someone wants to do the move with me and take her out, let's do it. Let's see. But yeah, it didn't happen. But I'm really happy. I'm really proud of myself. Like
I think if it was a different twister out, I think the vote could have easily been me, because you were working with a lot of people. I think a lot of people made very strong in-game relationships. I think there could have been multiple combinations of Final Four among those 6, and it would have still been groups of people that were working together and that had very novel narratives on how they work together. I think the biggest issue was just the twist of now and later, and the fact that 4 people showed their cards pretty clearly, and it became me and you. I think outside of that, if it was a true and false round, if it was tethers, I think you could have easily, if everybody had their vote, you could have easily gotten the votes on me. And that's why Sequester ultimately also is an enormous game of luck, and kind of the opportunities that present themselves in the moment that they are, and knowing how to game the system in your favor.
Yeah, and that's fair, and it's the game, and I'm happy. I cannot stop smiling. I'm really happy. Period.
Yeah, no, Yarel,
Like,
you had an amazing performance. I mean, I remember in your first game, which feels like forever ago now, but when we first talked about, like, you were always destined to go far in this game. I feel like in your first game, you had really, really bad luck, but the spirit that you have in the game is always destined to go far, I feel like. And I feel like you finally got to show it last night. But what were your overall thoughts on everything? And then, of course, your jury vote as well.
I want to be the representation for the Latino people that are insecure to play the game, because I have a lot of friends in Puerto Rico. Like, I want all my friends to play this game. Like, I have my 2 best friends to play, Miguel and Amneris, and they were and Oscar, my 3 friends, and they were amazing. And I want all my friends to play this. I know some people that are like, I don't want the people from my real life to know that I'm here. I want everyone to play, but I have a lot of friends and Latino people that communicate with me in Twitter, and that they're scared to play because of the language, because of communicating. And I want to be that path for people, that sample that we can do it. And I think I did it this time, and I'm so proud, and that people saw that they can do it too. So I love this game, and I love that I was able to make it. And yeah, I'm so proud of every single one. It was such an honor.
You did that, Yarel. It's always like
Did you apply for Latinx too?
Yeah, I applied. Let's see.
Let's
do this. Yeah.
I was gonna say, Yarel, like, it was like the 2 games you played in, I've always enjoyed you watch. We pretty much started in the same. You started 626, right?
Yeah, 626.
Yeah, no, I started the day after, and like playing with you was just so much fun. And yeah, I hope to get everyone, I mean, in this cast more after this game.
Yeah, such an honor. And for the jury vote, the thing was that I really thought that Dina murdered this game. It was like, I tried to take her out, and I'm her fan. Okay, her fan, tried to take her out. So it was amazing. And I was like, this is gonna be an anonymous vote. I know this. And knowing how much Nikki wants this, I vote for Nikki, because it was like, I have to be that vote for her, because I don't want to hurt her. And then when it was 4-3, I was like, oh my God, what? I can be the decisive vote. And I felt like, oh my God, did I mess up? Because I knew that Dina murdered this game. Like, you were amazing. Like, at Trust, like, wow, like, iconic. And I was like, I need to give Nikki this vote. Like, because
Nikki also murdered the game. Nikki played so incredibly well. The votes were so well. And I know, I mean, you're all like, Nikki should be here, like, and then you could like tell her all the amazing accolades of why she completely deserved your vote, because she did such an incredible job. She was one of your number one allies. I would have voted exactly the same way as you. You got to see her game. And I'm so proud and so honored for the votes that I got. And I'm so happy that Nikki rightfully had a very close game, because it was, from my opinion, and I'm sorry that it was maybe a little bit boring for others, but from my opinion, I thought that Nikki played incredibly well throughout it. And it felt extremely competitive to me. And I didn't feel like I was going to win. And I was very elated to have the win, and completely unsurprised
and you deserve
that
it.
Nikki
You
would
deserve
get
it.
3 votes. And as you saw by my questioning with Maggie, I didn't just, hold my hand up.
Yeah.
I understood that Nikki had made a very convincing, and I've lost 4-3 in a final 2 against runner-ups before. So I believe she deserved it. I adore you. I adore you for bringing the people into the community that you have. I am always happy to help support you in any way to bring more
Thank you so
people
much.
into the community. And I know that anything that we can do to help overcome obstacles to entry, whether it's creating more opportunities where Spanish language speakers can feel comfortable working together, like in the Latinx minis, or in creating different revenue streams to get people to be able to play. I think, I've loved working with you. I've loved the people you brought into this community. And I adore you, and you're my favorite rival in the whole wide world. And
Dina,
I think
Dina and Yarel for rivals too.
Dina and Yarel for rivals too. Although I could never in my whole life do a breaking news video about Yarel being a monster. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. That's not what I could do. There's not a single person who said something bad about him, unlike that
Bad
Ted.
Yarel. Bad Yarel. Being replaced by Bad Yarel. Thank you for coming on, Yarel. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yarel,
Such an honor.
Thank you
Love
so,
you
so
It
all.
was great playing with you, Yarel.
Thank you so much.
All right, so final 5, and this I assumed people would target Dina. It did not happen. It went
I
immediately.
didn't even
to,
have a vote, Louie. I
Nobody
didn't even have a fucking
You didn't.
vote.
You didn't need it.
I was
Apparently.
sitting
Who
there
needs
going
votes?
like,
Who needs
Dina
votes?
DeMaio. Bye guys. Happy Final Four. See
Literally
you later.
after the game, because I rewatched Beach Party, Dina's first win recently, and after the game, it just made me realize that shit, this is what Dina gave the win in Beach Party. Like how she just kept quiet at Final 5. And I was just so blinded with Nick and Maggie going against each other, knowing that Nikki would not flip on Maggie, and I couldn't just like take the risk and go to a wheel at Final 5. And I mean, like having been going out in Final 5 for like what 3 times now, I couldn't take that risk. So I had to turn on Nick there, and I feel like that was the misstep I had in my end game. And we clearly did not even consider Dina taking out Dina at Final 5. I mean,
I told Nikki to take me out in Final 5 in round 1.
You literally said it in the first round, and I hadn't mentioned that yet, but it was like the first thing in my notes. In round 1, Dina said, "This is a cast where I get 5th place." And I was like, first off, I'd like to live in a world where I could comfortably say as a bad thing, I'm going to get 5th place. Like, that's still pretty solid. I would love that in any game. But secondly, you were self-aware enough, or I guess not self-aware enough to know that you could do better than that. But you said 5th place to start, and here we are at 5th place with no one saying your name.
I know. So yeah, I mean, that was a misstep for me. Well, I guess for the most of us, but I do also feel like taking Dina to Final 4 would help me set up to target her at Final 4.
I totally understand that, and I've since spoken to a couple people, and I wish that Maggie and Nikki were here, and Nick. I don't know where Nick is, but
maybe
he's probably asleep. But I realized later that when I made that comment, yes, and when we get to Final 5, one of us doesn't look like the other. I was talking about me. I was talking about the fact that at Final 5, They could play an LOS at me on 6. They can avoid the wheel. And then at final 5, what are the things that I don't have in common with everyone else? I don't have a vote. I'm a 2-time winner. I'm easily the biggest threat in terms of talking your way to a win at final 2.
Yeah.
And I felt I'm never going to advocate for myself to lose a game. I know there was like a little bit of controversy around like the Middle East mini. And ultimately, like, I'm just going to be really clear that like that mini for me was just something completely different than the competition. And I wasn't going to advocate for someone who's never played the game before to go out instead of someone who hosted the mini and who should not have won the game because I fucking made the twists up. So I apologize if that wasn't my most competitive appearance, but see 11 other games where I fucking killed the competition or got taken out by a wheel or got taken out by a random twist. I'm a very competitive person. And I felt very strongly for all of you that you needed to take me out at 5, but I'm never going to convince someone of my own demise.
Yeah.
And so I told you, I gave you the playbook. I gave it to Nikki in round 1. I gave it to you guys in round 6, in the final 6. And I'm sitting there in final 5 and no one's saying my name. And I'm literally just thinking like, well, then they're going to take me out in 4. And then like, I'd hate to drag any of them. Like I was already thinking about how I'm going to not hurt people, that I'm going to have to take something away from them that they have always wanted to have and that I've had the luxury of having many times over. And so for that to continue to be a situation where you guys just didn't see that I was clearly going to be the one to beat all of you at the end, including you, Fairy, and you're one of my favorite people in the world.
I mean, I felt like the final 4 was too short. I don't know. I was only able to tell Nikki that you have to vote with me or I'm dragging you. But like, I just literally need 10 seconds to tell Nikki to vote for you at that round. Although
I do feel like 4 was quicker. So yeah, after we got past the Nick boot, we got to final 4. And I feel like it was, I don't know, maybe like a minute quicker, 45 seconds quicker.
When Audrey came in, I was like, that was final 4 already? Like, I felt it was a bit quick. I just needed 10 seconds to throw in Dina's name and force Nikki to go to a wheel or tie at first and go to a wheel to go against, like, to target Dina at that point. But I mean, regardless, I guess it was, at that point, it was difficult, like, to navigate around as well. And the drag decision was never easy. Whoever I dragged during final 4 would have been a terrible drag anyways, because Maggie, Nikki, and Dina were playing the shit out of the game. But I initially dragged Nikki for her to be able to speak up about her game and for her to be able to up her game. And yeah, I also felt like Dina commanded the whole game, so I couldn't take that away from her as well.
Yeah, that's what I was most curious about, because you did threaten Nikki, and I was curious if you were ever, like, was your decision at that point to take Nikki out, or was that never even really a consideration?
No, that was not going to happen. I just want her to present her game and be able to speak up to it, to give her a good springboard going into final 2.
Gotcha. Now, was there a consideration for Dina? Because I know you asked her specifically, why she did. And the reasoning was good, was that you never threatened her, so there was no reason for her not to vote you out. But that was a possibility for you.
It was a toss coin between Maggie and Dina at that point, to be honest. And I told Dina this last night, that I was like this close to dragging her, but I have to give credit with how she commanded the whole game from round 1, literally from round 1. And she deserved to plead her case at final 2, and she deserved her 3rd crown. Although I voted for Nikki to win. I do feel like
I'm kidding.
I do feel like she deserves her credit, and I've worked with her closely the entire game, without discrediting what Dina has done all throughout the game.
I felt like I just with the answers that these two amazing women gave all throughout the jury questioning, I just resonated more towards Nikki. That's why Nikki got my vote.
So when we got into 2, Dina, what were you thinking? Did you think that you had a pretty strong shot of being the first 3-time winner, or did you think that Nikki might take it?
So my first thought was I need to take this makeup off my face. Because I don't know. Nicholas, please join us. Please, for the love of God, join us. I need to take this makeup off my face, and this is my only shot of getting my 3rd win, and I really want my 3rd win. I've kind of had an ongoing joke in the back of my mind, and sometimes out loud, when I'm a little too comfortable with some people, to say that my biggest rival in the Sequester community is anyone that's trying to get the 3rd win before me. Just because I felt like I got so close to 9-5, and Robin did an incredible job. We played that game together really, really well. And she very rightfully deserved it. But I played this game harder than I've ever played a game in my whole life, harder than I've ever done anything in my whole life. Really because I never thought I had a chance to win. Because I was playing with absolutely every single card on the table. Like, I was playing with people who saw my entire deck, every single hand. They knew exactly who I was. They knew exactly what I was capable of doing. I'm sorry for the people who didn't know me. Like, some of them, I assure you, you're not going to get to know me based on your behavior. And ultimately, the people that I played this game the most with, I was very honest. I was very direct to them. And they had full access to exactly the kind of person I was. And that's why they wanted to play with me. So I did not think that there was a chance that it would get there. And then once we were there, I felt like I needed to figure out the harmonious balance by which I can continue to have a commanding performance that I felt I did and take it all the way home in final jury without disrespecting someone who I respect so deeply and whose game to me was incredible and who I've watched navigate fantastic games in the past, but whom I very deeply felt I simply played a better game in this situation than. And so, you know, me and DK in Beach Party, like, and we've talked about this, like, the reason I won Beach Party is because DK got me so angry during jury that I like started fighting back. And I really enforced a narrative that I was able to push really hard in the last elements of jury. And I got the people there that heard me. And, you know, DK has since won, and he won 7-0. He could have easily won Beach Party 7-0 if jury had not proceeded how it did based on his incredible gameplay at that time and my frankly under the radar but also, you know, domineering personality game, right? So I knew what I had to do. I knew it had to be clear-minded. I knew I had to respect Nikki's game because I love her as a person, but also genuinely didn't want people to feel that I was disrespecting what she's all about. But I ran this game from the jump. Like, I saw Jonathan talk about this earlier, and I really apologize to you. And like, part of this game that people have to understand is that your perception is your reality in segments of like 5 to 7 minutes. And so whether your intention was something different, whether your intention was that you wanted Ghost out, but you had said Nick, I walked into a room and I was told that Nick was in danger. And Nick is someone that I wanted to play this game with and someone that I wanted to make sure was an ally for me moving through. So I got in a room and I said Duncan. And I felt like people would be fine with it. And I clocked Jonathan Alda from the first second I saw him. Jonathan, I love you. Like, I clocked everyone who's ever tried to be in a costume on Sequester really fast.
I'm happy that I didn't play with Dina.
So, and I knew and I had said Ghost's name in the first round, but then as soon as I heard Chris, I was like, fuck, I cannot let Chris be first boot. Like, it changed the dynamic for me completely. I played as Dee, which is my grandmother's name, who passed away a year ago, who I miss deeply. She's part of this whole journey for me. She's very protective, to a fault. And so perhaps I was also very protective to a fault, but that sped up a dynamic of I have to play this game hard because I'm getting people out every single round. Every single time I say someone's name or I target someone, they're out. And once you're in that momentum, you can't sink back.
Yeah.
You can't sink back, because you have people that rightfully should be targeting you. I didn't have an LOS in this game. I didn't, I genuinely had trouble with a lot of different situations that occurred and feeling very bad because I do understand the privilege of my position very acutely, and wanting people to play and wanting to advocate for others, but perhaps that's not always the best for other people. They want to advocate for themselves. Like I mentioned, I'm starting a job on Monday and I'm not going to be playing all that much. That's why I played 9-5 and played this one. And I love this community. Like, I'm doing a shit ton of election stuff because I want us to get out the vote dynamics, and I want people to understand what being enfranchised on a local level means. And that this election isn't just important because of the national politics, but even all my international friends, like knowing who's representing you and who's a part of the power structures in your community are essential to understanding how you can better yourself. And that's something that we do in Sequester every single fucking day. So if you feel like you can talk to strangers on the internet to win a game for $0, perhaps you can talk to strangers on the internet that can get you the type of social services in your community that could systematically change your life and uplift your community. So that's how I hope to transition my experience with Sequester. I do take my Triple Crown very seriously. I have left the 2-time winners chat, and I will be waiting for the next person.
Did you exit?
I
now in a chat of your
exited.
own?
There's a chat of
That's
this
a power
Louie.
move. That is a
No,
power
I
move.
literally, I was so tired last night, Louie, that like Tommy wrote something that was like, I don't want Dina to leave, but I read it as like, Dina leave, and I was just like, bye. No, but I kid, but that's to say that like I really take it very seriously, helping other people, trying to figure out ways where we can connect, trying to create communities that are positive. If people in your community are not positive, find people in your community that are. We don't all have to be friends with each other. We don't all have to like each other. I promise you, a lot of people don't like me, and that's okay. I don't like them either. And so as long as we're cool with that, like, let's just continue to coexist and advocate for ourselves and others. So
I said it last night on commentary when it was over. And I stick by it, and I'll say it again briefly. And Blake kind of said something that, like, what I said, like, Sequester is a world where it gives you back what you put into it, right? And like, Dina, I feel like from the moment that you played your first patron, like, it was when Podquester was just getting off the ground. I think it was like our second or third or fourth episode or whatever. And you like were so embracing of the entire community and just wanted to experience everything you could. Like from the moment you played to everything else, you took this community in, and the community, you embraced the community. And as the community grew, it embraced you more and more and more. And I think it's very fitting for Sequester at large for you to be the first 3-time winner. Because not only are you
so
an incredible player, you're an incredible person as well. So I think it all works out, and everybody can go home happy. So
not everybody, Louie, but
well, not
who
everybody.
are we to let not people be happy? Come on. No, and I'm really excited with all the different games that I'm seeing people play across the Sequester community. Sequester, all of us are just nerds that like to play games. So I'm super excited to see kind of the new age of Sequester as we move across different types of platforms, as the live Sequester is coming back, as we get to have kind of that break of that like required private games, private, so that maybe like some of us can sleep more and like read books and play different kinds of games together. And I really feel, you know, we've talked about this a lot, Louie, like I really miss my friends. I really miss community building. I really miss like being around people and being around my family. And Sequester has really become my family to a large extent. And I don't say that in a, you know, we do pretend like we're in a cult. I only say that to be that all of the things, all of the experiences that come before still matter, and all of those people I still hold very dear in my heart. But ultimately, when you cannot travel to see people for 6 months at a time, you have to supplement yourself with those individuals that are on your wavelength to something that you're doing. And I'm going to hold these people dear to me. And I hope that as we transition into different situations, that like we can continue to like be flexible, just like we do in the game. Like, can we be like flexible in life? Yeah, it's really great. I mean, 522 brought us Joe the Show. 522 brought us me. 522 brought us Lavina and Johnny Stockton and Sam L and Justin Powell, all winners. And K Pow, who I'm adore, and Melissa Zora. Like, it brought us the most. And Josh Consalvo texted me and he was like, "Congratulations on me getting you your first win." And I was like, honestly, Josh, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know how to win. That playbook that you provided me was amazing.
All things in Sequester is thanks to Josh Consalvo.
Exactly. And I feel so incredibly indebted to them, because I think your initial cast and the initial group of people that embraces you has a lot to do with what you give back. And for my initial casts to be 522 and then the international cast, I think is a fairy tale in terms of individuals that are wonderful people to be around, and a true testament to what this community has to offer. So yay!
Yay! Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, I'll give everybody
That's
last
why
chance.
you don't take me to final two, Louie.
You can't do it. I said it. I say it all the time. Don't take her to final two. Don't do it. She'll have talking.
Yes, Dina for Winners at War, first boot, it looks like.
No,
Yay.
no.
Not gonna
Ferry,
happen.
what were your any final thoughts?
This was I said that it was a hard game to play. Even though I knew I was protected and I knew a lot of people in the cast, knowing that at some point we have to turn on each other was a difficult thing to do. I mean, I love Dina so deeply, and I feel like this was the game I was imagining playing with Dina in Private Winners at War that never happened, that like didn't really happen for the both of us. And I was just so happy to like play this game along with Dina. Another thing would be like it's a full like experience for me. Like this is what, my 10th game, and I'm playing again on Wednesday for some reason for NorCal versus SoCal. But I mean, this community, like Dina said, means so much to me. Like especially at this time where like it's hard. I'm like, just this morning I learned that my uncle passed away, and the love that I've been getting from this community is one of the big things that holds me up, and I am forever indebted in this community. And I will, just like Dina, I will do what I can as well to give back to this community.
Absolutely.
Love you, Ferry.
How are you, Dina?
All right, and we'll leave it with you, Dina. Any parting words from the first ever 3-time champ?
Did that happen? What? No, I am just so immensely blessed, and so incredibly lucky. I hope that as we near the election, we have 30 days, less than 30 days, I believe at this point, to kind of rally ourselves to what comes next. Ballots are already out. A lot of people are sending their absentee ballots. That's what I'm focused on in terms of what comes next, and in terms of the impact of my life. I feel very deeply that we are in the prequel to The Handmaid's Tale, and I would like to change trajectory just slightly because I've seen the movies and it doesn't go well for me, or the TV show. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. I hope if anyone is interested in getting more involved in kind of election stuff to reach out. We're going to be having amazing events like trivia games all about why voting matters. We're going to be doing Zoom games and scavenger hunts and, you know, whatever way we can get our ADHD riddled minds to also care about things that actually matter to us on a personal level is what we're going to try to do. So I'm so honored to know both of you. I adore you both. I hope that as things in my life start to transition a little bit, I can still give back as much as I get. Yeah, I hope that everybody just takes a moment to remember that we're dealing with immense strife and to be kind to yourself and be kind to others, because we're all dealing with a lot of unknown and unseen struggles. So the more we can care for each other and listen to each other and guide each other to a place of positivity, I think the better we are going to survive this pandemic, because we are still in a pandemic and things are not normal and they're not okay. And I think that sometimes we forget to tell ourselves that. So it's okay to not be okay. We love you. Unless you're a dick. We hate you.
Absolutely. And there was no better way to wrap things up than that. I love you both. Thank you both
Louie.
for joining us. Thank you to the audience. We have the Family Feud mini going on right now. There's commentary with Katie doing that. So please switch over to our Twitch for that.
And also subscribe to Podcaster.
Yes, subscribe.
Yes,
we were like,
please.
I think we were like 2 or 3 people away from 1,000. So
Yes,
if
let's
we
do
haven't
that
hit that
today.
already, go
Let's
do
get
that.
there.
And I'll be back with you all tomorrow for the Liar Liar mini, which should be.
Ooh, that is such a good cast, Louie. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the
super excited.
gameplay too. I feel like it's a completely different game. So I'm very excited for that. Thank you both. Thank you to everyone in the audience. And until next time, y'all, we will see you out there. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.